Good evening, good day, everybody, and welcome back to the Ask Abhijit show. This is once again an emergency session, emergency episode of the show because we are at war. We are at war with Pakistan, and a lot is happening. So, in yesterday's live stream, I had said that I will do the next live stream on Saturday as scheduled, but it clearly it's important that we do it today because so much is happening. And while we were doing the live stream yesterday, there was a whole lot of action happening. The Pakistanis trying to take out Indian targets and so on. So let us discuss more of the situation. And before we do that, I'm gonna see who all is on the live chat. I can see Dungar Singh Chauhan, ICBM's Oscar Madison, Debayan Basu, Vamshi Reddy, MP Abhinav Arora, V Noop Malkani, Adarsh Rajput, Hunter Canway, Yummy P, Bully Maguire, Geopolitical Dubey, Sunny Loya, Spandan Khandelwal, Rahul Sharma, and lots of other people. So let's go, and I'm going to take questions from the live chat today. How about that? Uh, Oscar Madison from Texas. So I'm going to take questions from the live chat. I've not had the time to sit down and go through all the questions in the comments and select the best questions. I've not had the time to do that. So the questions that you've asked in the comments, I will look at them tomorrow in tomorrow's live stream. But today we're going to do it entirely from the live chat. So let's take questions from the live chat. Let's see. What questions do we have? Vamshi Reddy from Twitter says, no Karachi attack happened then. Well, we'll wait and watch. Apparently, no Karachi attack has happened. Yesterday, there were all kinds of rumors on social media that apparently we have taken out the port of Karachi and INS Vikrant is in actions. Is in action. I'm not sure how these rumors end up on social media. I have nothing against rumors. In during wartime, even rumors can be a weapon that we can use against the adversary, which is fine. But as far as we see, uh, it doesn't look like Karachi port has been taken out. At least we haven't made any such claims. We, as in the government of India, right? So today there was a press conference by the government of India a couple of hours ago, and we got some more details out of it. And a lot has happened in the last 48 hours, right? Uh, it all started with it all started with the terrorist attack on civilians, on tourists in Pahalgam, and India, we gave Pakistan about 2 weeks to bring the terrorists to justice and to shut down its terror factory. And Pakistan took no action. And they actually made claims that somehow India was responsible for this in some strange, perverted way, the way only the Pakistani mind can work. So we waited, we gave them time to deal with the situation, to bring the terrorists to justice. They did nothing. And then a couple of days ago, we launched pinpoint strikes on Pakistani terror infrastructure. And this time, we recorded everything on video. We filmed everything. We sent loitering drones that went there and filmed everything, all the strikes. And we presented the evidence to the world. In response, so we took out their terrorist infrastructure, their terrorist machinery. We took that out. In response, they started shelling civilians, and they tried targeting Indian cities. The night of the 7th, was it? The night of the 7th of May, they tried targeting 15 Indian cities with missiles and drones. And every single missile and drone was intercepted. Not a single hit on an Indian target, whether it was a civilian target or a military target. So then they started shelling civilians on the Indian side of the border of the LOC. Rajouri, Punch, Uri, and Indian civilians are suffering as a consequence. They're dying. When you're doing shelling, you can't take that out with anti-aircraft weapons, right? So they've been doing that, and we have suffered casualties, right? So this is another provocation by Pakistan. This is nothing short of terrorism. If you are shelling civilians and civilians are dying and civilian property is being destroyed and damaged, that is terrorism. Terrorism means, what's the definition of terrorism? It means you're targeting civilians. So the Pakistanis are right now, as we speak, indulging in more terrorism. And then we responded again by taking out Pakistani military installations, this time in broad daylight, using various kinds of weapons, mostly kamikaze drones, what's called kamikaze drones, the Harop drones or whatnot. And we did this in broad daylight. And then the Pakistanis last night, I think they tried attacking about more than 20 Indian cities, 20 or 25 Indian targets, all the way from Leh in the north to Gujarat, the Sir Creek and Bhuj region in the south. Imagine trying to target a city like Leh, a beautiful, calm, peaceful city full of innocent people. I mean, it's just crazy. And today we did a press conference in which our government did the press conference in which they put all of this out. This is what happened overnight. This is what the Pakistanis have been trying. And yesterday I said that we are a nation at war. I said that, and I stand by what I said. We are a nation at war. The Pakistanis are trying their best to hit Indian targets. They want to hit Indian civilians. They're trying to hit Indian cities. They're trying to hit civilian airports. They're also trying to hit some military targets, but their major the category of target is civilian targets. Standard Pakistani terrorist mindset. So that is what's happening right now as we speak. So we are in a state of war. We are in a state of war. We are at war with Pakistan. Now, today's press conference by the government of India was very calm, and it was kind of de-escalatory. Like, we don't want any more of this. If Pakistan keeps trying to escalate, we will certainly respond. But if they stop, then you can consider the case to be closed. That's the kind of messaging we gave. Right? So now the ball is in Pakistan's court, essentially. We are giving them an off-ramp. The question is, will Pakistan take this opportunity to end the matter? The answer is no, they won't. And that's the problem, which is why I reiterate that we are at war with Pakistan. There's also news, my friends. There's also news that came out and then it was quietened down. There's news that at least 3 Pakistani fighter planes were taken out. Right? That news came out the past 48 hours. At least 3 Pakistani fighter planes. But has the government of India said anything? I mean, here's this question by MP. Is it true that F-16 was not actually shot down? Well, what actually happened? Did we take out fighter planes? F-16s, JF-17s. One heard that at least 3 were taken out. And then the news went quiet. What happened? See, it's like this. Please understand the Pakistani psychology, the Pakistani mindset. During the Kargil war, they sent their soldiers disguised as tribals to fight India. And when these soldiers were killed, naturally they'll be killed if they fight India. When the soldiers were killed, the Pakistani military refused to reclaim their bodies, saying that these are not our soldiers. Shameless people. Shameful behavior. These are your soldiers who have died fighting for your cause, and you are not even willing to reclaim the bodies and give them a decent, proper, honorable funeral. So that's what Pakistan does. If they lose personnel, they disown them. Why am I saying all this? Hypothetically, Pakistan loses 2 or 3 fighter planes. Let's say they lose 3 fighter planes. And hypothetically, India captures 1 fighter pilot alive. Hypothetically. Consider the scenario. So if we claim that we have shot down 3 fighter planes and we show the evidence, then Pakistan has nowhere to hide. Right? But if we don't claim that we have taken out X number of fighter planes, then Pakistan will try and hide it, that we lost anything. So then what we can do in this completely fictitious scenario, what we can do now is that we can quietly take our time and interrogate that fighter pilot as long as we need and get all the information out of him or them. Okay, we don't claim that we have shot down fighter planes. We don't want that glory. We want the intel. How is that scenario? Does it sound good to you? I'm just painting a completely fictitious hypothetical picture. So let's keep it at that, shall we? Okay. All right. So now, Dongar Singh Chauhan raises a pretty relevant point. What is wrong with Turkey? So the Turkish, what's his name? Erdogan. He's the president of Turkey, yes. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, has put out a tweet in his Turki language in which he has spoken about the war between Hindustan and Pakistan, right? And he has said that it's unfortunate and we need to what? De-escalate is the word going out on social media these days. We need to de-escalate. Both sides need to de-escalate, and he says that the people of Turkey stand with the brotherly nation of Pakistan, but they don't stand with India. And in today's press conference given by the government of India, it emerged that the Pakistanis launched between 400 to 500 drones at Indian targets last night. And most of these apparently were Turkish drones. Okay? So the Turks have been supplying the Pakistanis with drones, with weapons, which the Pakistanis are trying to use to bleed India. They're failing thus far, but that's the situation. So what's wrong with Turkey? Everything is wrong with Turkey. Like I've said in the past, Turkey doesn't have a history. Turkey has a criminal record. It's exactly the same kind of country that Pakistan is. Okay, just the color of skin is different. The Turks are converted Greeks, and the Pakistanis are converted Indians. But you see the similarity there. So they're gonna stand with Pakistan, and they obviously hope to get something out of this. Hopefully, some nuclear technology or something or the other. And obviously, the hatred for the non-believer, the disbeliever, the infidel is there. So that's what's wrong with Turkey, and this is to be expected. So Pakistan got a shot in the arm, right? Turkey, the president of Turkey, came out in public and gave a statement in favor of Pakistan, in support of Pakistan, and indirectly, uh, critical of India. So nothing surprising about this. Nothing surprising about it. Okay, let's see more questions. Heel Kumar Patel says, do we have the best air defense grid? How did we protect a subcontinent-sized nation? How is it compared to the US, China, Israel defense system? Oh, there's no comparison. It's very different. Every nation is different. Every geography is different. Every challenge, every defensive challenge is different. Do we have the best air defense grid? I wouldn't say we have the best air defense grid, but we clearly have a super competent air defense grid. Everything the Pakistanis lobbed at us from the sky, whether it's missiles or rockets or drones, everything has been taken out. And the Indian media is reporting we have the S-400 and the S-400 took everything out. These people have no idea what they're talking about. The S-400 doesn't exist to take out drones. The S-400 is there for a very specific set of threats, and that's the kind of threats it neutralizes. It's not its purpose is not to neutralize drones and rockets and shells. The purpose of the S-400 is to take out very big threats like fighter planes. Okay, it has a radius of coverage of 400 kilometers, and so it essentially can cover most of Pakistan. Because Pakistan, would you like to see the geography of Pakistan? Let's see how wide the nation is, or how much strategic depth the nation has. So here's the map of Pakistan. Let's say you have an S-400 sitting somewhere here. So let's see how wide the nation is from end to end, about 500 kilometers. So you're safe from the S-400 only if you're far in the west of Pakistan, near either Afghanistan or near the Iran border. Right, I think you're safest if you're a Pakistani if you're sitting in Balochistan, because then you have a significant distance from any potential S-400 system. So the S-400, you can keep it even 100 kilometers inside Indian territory, and you can still take out any Pakistani threat, a fighter plane kind of threat, or potentially ballistic missile threat. So the S-400, its purpose is to take out fighter planes and short to medium range ballistic missiles, and also potentially cruise missiles. Its purpose is not to take out drones. For those drones, we have other air defense systems which have worked brilliantly. So clearly, India has really surprised the world. Really surprised the world. that not a single Pakistani rocket or missile or drone was able to hit any substantial target in India. And they have, God knows, they've tried. They've lobbed hundreds of these weapons at us. So we have multiple layers of air defense. So the S-400 is the biggest one. We also have the Akash missile, which apparently has been the superstar. Not the S-400. I'm not saying the S-400 isn't great. It's great. It's brilliant. But the real superstar in the action of the last 48 hours has been the Akash SAM, surface to air missile, and other systems as well. So we have a superb air defense grid, clearly. It's very obvious now. It's very clear. The past 48 hours has proven that. But please understand, there's a lot more to come. We are at war, and this is going to continue. Uh, how did we protect the subcontinent-sized nation? Look, the Pakistanis haven't tried hitting targets deeper within India. Okay, thus far. Uh, so thus far, we are defending the border states essentially, which is Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. That's mainly the states we are defending. And they've tried hitting targets all across these states. How do we compare it with the US, China? Look, we can't compare. Every nation is different, so there's no point comparing. Look, for example, the Israelis have the Iron Dome system, which is almost like a point defense system. It's a very small, tiny country compared to India. So they can really saturate the skies with Iron Dome missiles and take out incoming bogies, essentially. So it's a very different set of scenarios. Now, Amisha says, what's your take on J.D. Vance's statement? J.D. Vance said that the India-Pakistan conflict is none of the US's business. It has nothing to do with us. We have no business talking about it. Essentially, that's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what exact words he used, but he said that it's none of the US's business, and America needs to stay out of it. The vice president of the United States said that. So what should we infer from that? What does it mean? It's obviously a signal. It's not just an answer given to a journalist who asked a question. It's also also a diplomatic signal. It's also a policy statement. It's also a message to India as well as Pakistan, as well as Russia, as well as China, and whoever else is interested in whatever way. It's a message. So how do we interpret what J.D. Vance said? What does it mean that this conflict, this war, is none of America's business? Which is surprising, considering the history the US has had with Pakistan. The US was Pakistan's big daddy in the 20th century. The US was Pakistan's main funder and financer. They are the ones who taught Pakistan how to use terror as policy, as state policy. It started with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, but it also spilled out into Punjab and then into Kashmir in the 80s and 90s. And then the primary target for Pakistani terror was India, all funded and financed by the US. During the war on terror of George W. Bush, Pakistan was the linchpin of that. It was the staging base for whatever was happening in Afghanistan and so on. So the US has been the big daddy for decades. Pakistan was their vassal for decades. Then for a decade or so, Pakistan became China's vassal. And then 2022 onwards, for a brief couple of years, Pakistan was a US vassal again. Now, what J.D. Vance has said indicates that the US has washed its hands of Pakistan. It's essentially a statement that means that India needs to handle Pakistan, whichever way it wants to. Just ensure that this matter doesn't spill out and become a bigger problem. Deal with Pakistan whichever way you want. That's the message. Why would the US give such a message to India? It's because the US is seriously worried about China. And if they want to contain China, which they are trying to do, well, in the Eurasia region, the only nation that is large enough to be a significant bulwark against China and an alternative to China is India. So they need India on their side when it comes to containing China. Now, we don't want to be used as anyone's pawn. Obviously, we are too big a nation, too old of a civilization to be a pawn on someone's chessboard. But today, China is 3.5 times more powerful than us, and China is not exactly a friendly nation, as I think every Indian knows. China is a threat, and right now they are 3.5 times more powerful than India. So it makes sense to have some kind of understanding with the US, right? And that's why it makes sense for us to be on the side of the US in the matter that concerns China, while being completely independent and sovereign and autonomous in other matters. So when it comes to China, yes, US and India, we're going to work together on that. You want to do it while using the quad route or other route, the Indo-Pacific, whatever, let's do it. We'll work together on that. But if you want us to oppose Russia, sorry. Russia, India, that's a whole different matter. You guys stay out of it. China, we're going to help you. We're going to be with you. Let's work together on China. So it's issue-based cooperation, but it is long-term cooperation. So India and the US are on the same page when it comes to China. And the US is trying to make good with Russia as also. They tried at least for a while. They tried. Uh, but they will not be able to make India pull away from Russia or abandon its historic, uh, very positive relationship with Russia. That's not going to happen. So that's the deal. So when it comes to Pakistan, the US is perfectly willing to sacrifice Pakistan if it means that India will be on the US's side when it comes to the China matter. So it looks like a deal has been struck. The art of the deal. Deal with Pakistan. Take your time, do whatever you want, but you are going to be with us when it comes to China. So what does it mean in the context of today's conflict? This is a great question by Amisha. It means most likely this is going to go into in a certain direction. It means that this conflict is not over. See, the Pakistanis have done an incredibly stupid thing. I said this 2 weeks ago that the Pahalgam attack is going to go down in history as an inflection point in Pakistan's history. And the day they did the attack was the day the clock started ticking backwards for them. Countdown began for them. And I said the the clock is ticking down to zero. It may last 10 years or 5 years or 3 years or 6 months or 3 months. Now, seeing the way the situation is evolving, the clock may count down to zero in 14 days. Possible. So as long as we manage this properly, carefully, and we ensure the situation doesn't spill out beyond the Indian subcontinent, the Americans are okay with the disintegration of Pakistan. That's what it means. All right, that's what it means. Right, let us take some other questions. Oh yeah, I had one question that I'd taken from the comments. I'll answer that today, and the others I'll take it from the live chat. So which question did I have? I had this question by one of my old viewers, long time viewers, Chiching. And the question is, are the Far East states of India in danger from Pakistan, from China and Bangladesh in the current scenario? And this is a great question. You see, India is a vast country, and India's Far East is thousands of kilometers away from Pakistan, but it's in a whole different neighborhood. India's Far East is in Southeast Asia. Let's take a look at the map. So when we talk about the Indian Far East, we are referring to what everyone calls the Northeast. You see, if you were to measure the distance from Pakistan, roughly, to India's Far East, it's almost 2,000 kilometers. If you were to talk about Nagaland and the border with Pakistan, that's over 2,000 kilometers. So that's really far away. So India's Far East is actually geographically situated in Southeast Asia. It's the gateway to Southeast Asia for us. And it's a very different part of the country compared to the western part of the country. And this is an excellent question. Are these states, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura, and so on, even Sikkim, let's say, and even Bhutan, let's consider, are these states in any kind of danger from China and Bangladesh in the current scenario? Yes, we will have to be very careful. We will have to assume that there are threats. And let me tell you why. See, right now, China is kind of thus far staying out of this conflict. They have made statements criticizing India, in regretting India's actions vis-a-vis Pakistan, but they're not keeping a very, very, very hawkishly close eye on what's happening. Mr. Xi Jinping is in Moscow right now. He's attending the Victory Day parade. I suppose it must be over by now. But if it was a very precarious situation, Mr. Xi Jinping would not be in Moscow. He would be in Beijing. Anyhow, so what is the threat that the far east of India can face? You may remember a few weeks ago, the Pakistan, I don't know who it was, a high ranking Pakistani official, whether it's the foreign minister or the defense minister or whatever it is. I think it was some kind of lady or something. That high ranking official, Pakistani official, visited Bangladesh. And right now, we are seeing a lot of synergy between Pakistan and Bangladesh. They are essentially kind of on the same page. They are back to the days of East Pakistan, West Pakistan, right? They both have governments and regimes that see India as the enemy. There is a shared hatred for India right now among the people who rule East and West Pakistan. And Pakistan right now is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. India has hit them hard, and the Pakistani military needs to show something to its people that we were able to hit India back. Otherwise, they lose all legitimacy in the eyes of their people. And if they lose legitimacy, it's going to be regime change. It's going to be disintegration of Pakistan. There's going to be riots on the streets, and they'll lose control. So they need to quickly do something, the Pakistani military, that reassures their people that look, we hit back at India. Now they are trying to lob hundreds of missiles and drones at India, and everything is being shot down. So what do? Well, what they can do is to resort to what they do best, which is terrorism. So I can assure you, India's cities are on high alert. It may not be visible, but the governance machinery is going to be, and police machinery, and whatever other machinery we have will be on high alert. Because it's well known that there are, when India revoked the visas of all Pakistanis after the Pahalgam attack, we discovered tens of thousands of Pakistanis who had been living in India for decades. So they have plenty of people who have infiltrated India. I'm sure that we have not been able to catch all of them. And then there are Rohingyas across India who have been settled in Jammu and where not, God knows what places. And then there are millions of Bangladeshis in India, in illegal infiltrators. In 2014, there were 50 million, according to the government. So imagine the threat we are facing from within. So these elements, these enemies we have within, who are all across the country, in every city, they're visible, they're in your face. That's a huge failure on the part of the government of India. But look, this is today's situation. So these elements can be activated and leveraged to conduct potential terror operations against India. Clearly, right? Now, do we have the presence of such elements in India's Far East? Yes. We have Bangladeshis and Rohingyas in all the Far Eastern states. In Manipur, you have Bangladeshis and Rohingyas who have been allowed to settle by the government. Why? I don't know why. In Nagaland, I promise you, these Bangladeshis are a big problem today. They are all over the place. I don't understand how they have been allowed to settle. I just don't get it. And as long as these elements are present on Indian territory, it's going to be a huge problem. Half of Manipur is overrun by foreign cookies. They have killed more Manipuris than the Pakistanis recently killed tourists. But they don't matter. Manipuris don't matter. The Far East of India doesn't matter, apparently. So, this is a huge threat. These Chin cookies, they have no allegiance to India. These Rohingyas, they have no allegiance to India. These Bangladeshis, they have no allegiance to India. These Pakistanis, they have no love or allegiance to India. They all hate India. They can be leveraged by foreign powers, whether it is Bangladesh or China or whoever. So yeah, we are in danger. We are in danger. As long as you have foreigners squatting on Indian territory, we are in danger. And the government, once we deal with Pakistan, or in parallel while dealing with Pakistan, we need to start evicting foreigners out of India. I don't care if they're not willing to go, throw them out. If Bangladesh is not willing to accept them, then I'm sure there are options. The geography of the Indian subcontinent, including our strategic backyard, is pretty large, is all I will say. So it's high time the government does something about this. Because, yes, Chiching is asking a great question. I think all states of India are in some kind of danger, mainly from the enemies within, who can be easily controlled by the enemies without. Yes. So yes, the security agencies need to be on high alert everywhere in in all the states that have borders with other countries like Bangladesh, or whether it is Southeast Asia, Burma, which is in undergoing civil war, or whatever else. Okay, let's take some more questions from. Okay, good question. Tejas says, "What's your reply to some people who are asking for some Indian people who are clamoring for de-escalation? And how should Indians prepare themselves for upcoming war situations?" Um, yeah, there are Indians who have the past 48 hours been clamoring for de-escalation on social media, on X, on Twitter, and so on. An eye for an eye will make the world blind, and we should de-escalate. There are people on both sides who are suffering, and so on and so forth. De-escalation. I would like to take those people, I would like to invite those people. I invite those people to go to the border with Pakistan, either at the international border or at POK. Go to Poonch, go to Rajouri, go to Uri, and spend 48 hours there. Yes. And then ask India for de-escalation. When you're sitting there, you will find that there's incoming fire towards you. Missiles, shells, bullets flying all over the place. So, are you going to ask Mr. Modi for de-escalation, or are you going to ask the Pakistanis for de-escalation? We are not the aggressors. We did not start this. India did not start this. We are at the receiving end of terrorism and fire from the Pakistanis. It is for Pakistan to de-escalate. It is not for India to de-escalate. Okay. Yes, sure. This fighting is gonna cause pain on both sides. True, it's gonna cause pain on the Pakistani side if civilians get hit inadvertently. We don't target civilians, but if civilians get hit, it's gonna cause pain and suffering on that side. On our side, we have been having pain and suffering for decades. Now, the question is, who is causing this pain and suffering? Who is causing it? Is it war that's causing it? Or is it evil people who are causing it? War happens because of the actions of evil people, right? And if you're at the receiving end, if you're a victim of those actions, then you have a choice. You either sit and let it happen and you absorb the pain and suffering, or you say enough and I'm going to give the pain and suffering back to the evil people. I think the ones who are responsible for all the pain and suffering are Pakistan. And as long as Pakistan keeps existing in the current shape and form, as long as the ISI military terrorist entity, combined entity keeps existing, pain and suffering is going to be permanent as long as this keeps existing. So we have to take this entity out. We have to liberate the world and the people of Pakistan and the people of the Indian subcontinent from the burden, from the burden of this evil entity. So that's what I would say to the people, the Indian people who are asking for de-escalation. Please go to the line of control. Go sit there. Go live there for a couple of days. Then you will know who actually needs to de-escalate. Right? And if they don't de-escalate, we're gonna make them de-escalate this time. We're gonna make them de-escalate. This war is not over. We are giving Pakistan the option. And you have an off ramp, like the West likes to say. Stop whatever you're doing, and we're gonna end this year. But Pakistan won't end this year. Okay, so this war is gonna go to its conclusion Territory will change. Lines on the map are going to change. Now, the question is, how should Indians prepare themselves for the upcoming war situations? I would say, look, there's nothing much you have to do. Just take basic precautions. The main thing is you have to unconditionally support your country. Um, and if you're on social media, if you're a Twitter warrior or whatever, go ahead and have some fun on social media. Um, and yeah, that's what. Look, the government of India, the armed forces are more than capable of taking care of the country. There's nothing that individual Indians need to do. We pay our taxes. The government of India has more than enough funds and everything it needs. Okay. Um, we have adequate numbers of soldiers and all that. So don't worry. The only thing is you take adequate precautions. Don't allow media rumors to mislead you. There are many Indian media outlets that are taking the side of Pakistan, right? And so on. So support your country unconditionally. Your country is right. We are not a terrorist nation. We have been on the receiving end of terror for decades. For decades. And yeah, we're gonna dismantle Pakistan this time. Enough is enough. Durgesh Panchal says on the 21st of April, Apple announced its production being moved from China to India. Is this a war between India and Pakistan, a Chinese proxy against the next global next economic production house? Look, clearly, if this war does benefit China, if this war has the effect of making India look like an unstable country, a country that is not a good or sound investment destination, then it's a win for China. It's a big win for China, right? So it's pretty clear that the Chinese must be happy right now. So what India needs to do is we need to ensure that this situation should not last more than 14 days. And then the next 14 days, yeah, whatever needs to happen needs to happen. But you are right. These things are all interconnected. China sitting far away, Beijing is far away. The border with Tibet is right at our doorstep. And what's happening in vis-a-vis Apple in China and India, it's all interconnected with this current war with Pakistan. T please says no option other than full-blown war, says Pakistan's defense minister. Well, if you want it, you can have it. You're going to have it. Harsha says, if we advance forward, how do we secure the territory permanently without losing it? Does boots on the ground change the scenario completely? Boots on the ground changes the scenario completely. How do we secure the territory permanently without losing it? Leave it to the armed forces. They know how to do it. We don't need to worry about it. The armed forces, it's their job to do this. They're professionals. They know how to do it. No, we don't need to worry about that. Soray says, do we get a chance to see the BrahMos in action? The BrahMos may have been in action, or maybe not. We don't know. Look, this is not a live cricket match that we're going to see it ball by ball. A whole lot of stuff is going to happen that we may not know for years. The BrahMos may be in action, but we may not get to see it. So we can see the test firings. Okay. Mr. 88er says the Pakistan defense minister is quoted as saying, we didn't intercept Indian drones as it would have given away our defense positions. What I have my honest thoughts and opinions on this master stroke strategy. So listen, I'm sitting in a place and the drone is coming at me, right? The suicide drone. And I have an interceptor. I have a system that can, let's say, take out drones. And it's coming really fast. I can't really escape before it hits. So what should I do? If I use the intercepting technology, it will give away the data and the locations and defense positions to the adversary. So I'll not use it and I'll die. Is that how it works? In Lahore, the air defense system was taken out by Indian drones, kamikaze drones. So was it a sound decision? to not give away the defense positions when the defense positions were already known to India. This is called cope. This is called coping. Making some kind of excuse to make it sound like you're actually winning when you're actually losing. So yeah, it's a joke. It's a nice joke. Kumar says the Turkish drones failed. How will it affect the Turkish drone market? The world, look, wherever there is a conflict, the world looks with a lot of interest. Not the lay people of the world, but people who are in the defense industry, people who are um, geopolitically aligned, like government officials, military officials, uh, arms manufacturers, potential arms customers. They all look at the action that's happening with a great deal of interest. Let's say I am a potential consumer. Let's say I'm a potential buyer of Turkish drones. Then I would like to very much observe what happens when Turkish drones are used in actual combat. You can use Turkish drones in field trials and all that. That's fine. In cricket, what they say, there's a world of difference between net practice and actual match practice. You can be in great form as a batsman in the nets, middling every ball and hitting everything perfectly. But that doesn't mean you're going to do well in live action. The performance in the live action is what matters more than your net performance. Similarly, the performance of drones during field trials and all is okay, but how they perform in real wartime combat scenarios is what really matters. That's where uh, the true value can be seen. The value or lack of it can be seen. So the Turkish drones were lobbed at us all last night. 400 or 500 Turkish drones were lobbed at us, and every single one of them was taken out through different means. Some of those means were non-kinetic means, apparently. Yeah. So the Turkish drones, they failed. They failed very much. If you are a sensible buyer and you want a system that actually performs in combat, I would suggest you stay away from Turkish drones, Bayraktar or whatever it's called. Kizil Elma. No, Kizil Elma is different. But yeah. So the Turkish drones have failed, or whichever drones that the Pakistanis had. So it's a blow to the reputation of the Turkish drone industry. Nikunj Sharma says, please tell how the Indian Navy is going to take action. How will our aircraft carrier be useful in the battle? I don't know. I would actually prefer not to have the aircraft carrier participate in the battle. It can be at sea and defend the coastline of India, but I don't think it should be used in an offensive manner. I think if you want to have the Navy participate in the war, then you can use submarine launched weapons, or weapons that are launched from standoff distances from destroyers or various other kinds of warships. The weapon you want to use is typically a cruise missile. And we have one of the cruise missiles, which is called the BrahMos, right? And it's a pretty good cruise missile, believe you me. So I would want to have that sort of involvement of the Navy. Destroyers or submarines launching cruise missiles at wherever the targets are, whether it's Karachi or whatever it is. That's how it should go. Tejas says, seems like Modi ji will be the best PM, even surpassing the fame of Indira Gandhi. We have to wait and watch. I think the next 2 weeks are gonna decide how it goes, right? Okay. Mr. 88 says, ex-government affairs account is openly lecturing us on censorship and free speech nonsense for banning 8,000 ex accounts. Let them do it. Doesn't matter. They'll do that. They'll always try and portray themselves as having the high moral ground. We believe in free speech. You believe in free speech. Yeah, during Biden's regime, how many Americans were blocked from Twitter, permanently banned from Twitter? What happened to your free speech then? Donald Trump was banned from Twitter. And these clowns want to lecture us when we do something for the sake of national security. These people are two-faced hypocrites. So, what's appropriate for us to do? It's appropriate for us to laugh at them. Aryan Rocking Gaming says Karachi port official X account posted that the port has been damaged. Later said that nothing has happened and their account was banned. Banned seems suspicious. Are they hiding something? It's possible they're hiding something, but the government of India has made no statements about Karachi whatsoever. So, in case we have done something there, perhaps, possibly, then we are not taking any claim or credit for it. So, you know what India is doing? India is being super unpredictable. Nobody has any idea what the government of India is planning. Even Indians have no idea what the government of India is planning and what is the next step going to be like. Right? Are we de-escalating? Are we disengaging? Or do we have a surprise in plan? Surprise that's being planned like 3 days from now. So it's good to play the game this way. Keep all options open. Make people wonder what's coming next. Right? So I don't know what's happened in Karachi. Have we actually done something there? Have we done some military action in Karachi? There were rumors last night of Karachi port being targeted in some way, apparently by the Indian Navy. But we haven't officially made any statements. So let's wait and watch. I think in a couple of weeks, once the dust settles, we will know exactly what happened. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to know what was going on all these days. So, okay. Okay, Avnish Mishra says, will there be an official declaration of war? And why is Turkey showing interest in the conflict, especially with Turkish drones being used? Uh, we just discussed Turkey. Erdogan loves Pakistan. Turkey and Pakistan are very similar nations in a lot of ways, and it's natural for them to show support for Pakistan. And they have this shared hatred for polytheists like us, and they have a shared hatred for ancient civilizations. Um, and they have other things in common as well. Both countries have a criminal record, not a history. They don't have a history, they have a criminal record. So, very similar. They both have this terroristic mindset. And yeah, so that's why Turkey is showing interest in the conflict, and they seek to gain something from Turkey as well, from Pakistan as well. Maybe nuclear technology, maybe something else, right? Um, and Turkey has this ambition of being the next leader of the Islamic world, and they want to revive the Ottoman Empire and so on, that sort of thing. And their drones have failed, which is boohoo and haha. Now, will there be an official declaration of war? There's no need to declare war officially. This is not the 19th century anymore. We declare war and then we shall fight. And then we shall march on the field wearing red coats and we shall walk in formation while the bullets are flying and so on. No, man, this is the 21st century. You don't have to declare war. We are at war. We will not declare war unless we do. That's for Mr. Modi to decide. But we are at war. Please understand that. There's no need to fight a war properly once there's an official declaration. You keep saying every day that we are trying to de-escalate, but the Pakistanis are unwilling, and we don't want war, but you fight the war. That's the right way to do it. Okay. Lage Raho Online says, I saw a headline and trending in social media that the people of Balochistan have declared themselves as a sovereign country and they seek validation from the UN and the first world nation. What's my take? Look, I support this, first of all. I think I tweeted this yesterday that it's an appropriate time. I tweeted that in the middle of the night yesterday. I didn't sleep till 3 a.m. last night, with all this action raging. So, sometime in the night, maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I tweeted that this is an appropriate time for Balochistan to declare its independence. And I don't care if it's just Twitter accounts who are doing it, but I think everybody from Balochistan who is on social media, whether it's X or whatever, they need to declare Balochistan's independence. And apparently, there's something going on in Balochistan. What's the capital of Balochistan? The capital of Balochistan is Quetta, obviously, and apparently the Pakistan army is facing trouble in Quetta. And maybe I heard rumors yesterday, I don't know if they're true, that maybe they've withdrawn from Quetta. So my point is, we should support Balochistan independence. If there are uh, headlines and reports on social media that Balochistan has declared independence, we as individuals, one thing we can do is we can amplify their voice on social media and voice our support. So any Twitter account who is saying Balochistan is independent and it's free, we need to support it. We need to amplify it, right? So that's the least you can do. Send a tweet saying we support Balochistan's independence and so on, that sort of thing. But has it actually happened? I think it's too early to know. I think Pakistan, at this point in time, the Pakistani army, ISI, terrorist machinery, that one unified entity, I think thus far they're still in control of their country. The longer this war drags on, the more tenuous their hold on the country will become. Okay? Because as long as they're unable to inflict any damage on India and they keep absorbing the damage which is visible to the public, the longer that happens, the more their legitimacy will be questioned in Pakistan. If your armed forces, who are your dictatorial overlord, they look important and unable to justify their rule over you, then people are going to overthrow them. That's the direction in which this is going. Okay, Swastik Mahesh says, the Balochistan Liberation Army claims that about 30% of Balochistan area is independent. Is it possible that after the Operation Sindoor, Balochistan will declare complete independence from Pakistan? I think the Balochistan Liberation Army has already declared long ago that Balochistan is independent, and they're fighting for that independence to make that statement into reality. That's what they're doing. I think it's pretty certain that about 30% at least of Balochistan is not under the control of the Pakistani military. Even if you look at Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, half of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is essentially independent. There is no rule of law of Pakistan in about half of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So I'm pretty sure about 30% of Balochistan is lawless, or they have their own law as per their wishes. So I think that should increase now. And it is quite possible that once the dust settles over Operation Sindoor and the ongoing war, it's quite possible that Balochistan may be independent. It's pretty possible, yeah. Tejas says, can we defeat Pakistan and elect a puppet PM in Pakistan in place of allowing it to disintegrate into parts? I think the best way forward is to have multiple independent nations. We can certainly do it, but it's a pain for us. What should happen is each of these provinces needs to become independent. Let Sindhudesh become independent with the capital at Meenanagar or Karachi. It was called Meenanagar 2000 years ago. It's today called Karachi. So let Sindhudesh be independent with Karachi as the capital. Let Balochistan be independent with Quetta as the capital. Let Khyber Pakhtunkhwa reintegrate with Afghanistan with our blessings. And let Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan return to the fold of Mother India, and let Punjabistan exist for a while. Right. So, and Debo says they are attacking Pokhran now. So I have a TV screen behind this lens on the other side, and something is happening in Jaisalmer, something in Pathankot, something in Rajouri, something in Kupwara, something in Punch, Baramulla, Urri, Jammu, and so on. And apparently Pokhran. So Pokhran is in Rajasthan. They're attacking Pokhran. You see, we are signaling to the world, my friends, that we want to de-escalate. We have retaliated to a Pakistani provocation, and it should end with that. They punched us, they hit us, and we hit back, and that should be enough. But then they are trying to escalate. They're trying over and over again to escalate. So here's what's going to happen. The press conference the government gave today was a press conference that was very calm, and it indicated our desire to end the matter here. Right? And we did not really hit any major Pakistan targets like Karachi, Lahore, whatever yesterday, despite and today as well, despite the constant pro-Pakistani attempts to hit more than 20 Indian cities. all night. So we have given them an off ramp, but now they're attacking Pokhran again, right? So if this situation now escalates and we respond twice as hard, whose fault is it going to be? You cannot be a nation that hosts Osama bin Laden and then gets to play victim. You can't be a nation that creates the Taliban and then gets to play victim. You can't be a nation that cuts off the head of journalists like Daniel Pearl and then gets to play victim. You can't be a nation whose citizens fly planes into buildings in New York City and then you get to play victim. So I think we need to remind the world of this, that Pakistan is a terrorist nation, and if they don't back down now, right now, within the next 14 days maximum, the borders are going to change. So yeah, that's the direction in which this is going. The borders will change. Okay. Two idiot NRIs say reports are that Pakistan has about 10 days of munitions. They're running low on fuel and naturally owes in money. Does pressing this for more than 10 days keep advantaging India even more? Why 14? 14 is the upper limit. Okay, you have raised a very important and interesting point. Pakistan, we know, are always short on cash. They are a nation that's one step away from bankruptcy at any given day, on any given day. Now, this claim that you're making, and based on reports that you've heard, is that Pakistan has about 10 days of munitions, whatever left. How credible is this claim? I think it's pretty credible. Why do I say this? In case you have been paying attention at what's been happening during Pakistan's vassalage of the US during the Biden regime days, then you would have noticed that Pakistan, as a good vassal of the US, sent a lot of ammunition to Ukraine. They sent a lot of ammunition to Ukraine to help the cause of the Ukraine war as a good little vassal of the US. And today they find themselves in the situation of their own making, where India is not now willing to let them off with a face saver. Pakistan does not get a safe face saver. The Pakistan ISI military terrorist entity does not get a face saver. Asim Munir does not get a face saver. If you want to back down, you will back down while being humiliated. Otherwise, bring it on. This time, India is going to be the unpredictable actor. Historically, the past 80 years, the Pakistanis have acted like the proverbial madman in a very calculated way. By keeping on making threats like they're crazy, they forced India to act like the sane sparring partner. This time, it's going to be the other way around. This time, it's going to be very different, and you're going to see this the next couple of days, next few days. Pakistan is not going to get a face saver, and they're not going to be able to hit India. And by chance, if they hit any civilian area in India, they have no idea what's coming for them. They have absolutely no idea what's coming for them. And you are right, they are running out of ammunition. The Turks are sending aircraft to Pakistan with some supplies. Those supplies will not last. Turkey, we will remember what you have been doing. We'll remember what Turkey has been doing and what role they have played. And I would urge my fellow Indians and all civilized people. The Mediterranean region is a beautiful region. No question about it. You want to visit the Mediterranean, you want to visit the Aegean Sea, you want to visit the Ionian Islands, you want to do all that, go to Greece. Go to Italy. Go to Sardinia. Yes, go to Tuscany. Go to Sicily. Visit the Greek islands, visit Kefalonia, visit Greece, visit Athens, visit Sparti, visit Rhodes, visit Greece. Do not visit Turkey. Okay? Do the world a favor. Do the civilized world a favor. Turkey is the European version of Pakistan. And Albania is the European version of Bangladesh. Okay? You get it? So, coming back to the question, yes, Pakistan is running short of munitions, and the US is not going to come to the rescue this time. The Chinese may try to do something. Do they have enough time to turn the tide for Pakistan? Can Turkey turn the tide for Pakistan? Pakistan finds itself caught between a rock and a hard place, and the longer they keep this up, the more they're going to find themselves running out of options. That's what's going to happen the next 4, 5, 6 days. In 7 days, it's going to be panic stations in Pakistan if this continues. Okay, so that's the direction in which it is going, which is dangerous. So India is going to have to play the game very well. We're going to have to manage the rearrangement of the furniture of Pakistan very, very carefully. Okay. Melon B says, if Pakistan is dismantled and Balochistan comes into existence, what would our relationship with the state be like? What sort of geopolitical advantage would we gain with it? Gain from it? Look, we would have access to um, Gwadar, first of all. If Balochistan comes into existence as a sovereign nation, we're going to have a good relationship with the people of Balochistan. We're going to help them. We're going to aid in the reconstruction of the nation. We will have projects for constructing highways and railways and whatnot, libraries and schools, and a parliament building like we have done with Afghanistan. We will have the same kind of relationship with Balochistan that we have with Afghanistan. Even the Taliban, like India, even the Taliban have warm feelings towards India because of our track record the past 30, 40 years. It's not something like the US comes in and gives some aid for a few months and then disappears. We have consistently supported Afghanistan and the people of Afghanistan. We have you know we have worked on projects. We have started projects and done things that have helped the common people of Afghanistan. Agriculture projects, dams, water canals, the parliament building. Everything we have done helps the common people, the common man, woman, and child of Afghanistan. Even individual Taliban members, their families have benefited from what India has done, which is why nobody in Afghanistan hates India. Despite them being an Islamic nation, despite them being the Taliban, they still can't make themselves hate India. And India and the Taliban regime are cooperating. We have a good working relationship. Now, if Balochistan becomes a sovereign nation, we're going to have a similar relationship with Balochistan. Similar, I mean, something similar to what we have with Afghanistan. And we're going to help them the same way we have helped Afghanistan consistently for the past few decades. So it's going to be a very good relationship. We're going to help them set up a completely new nation, right? And what geopolitical advantage we gain? We get access to the Makran coast. We can develop the port of Gwadar. We can have Gwadar in addition to Chabahar as a port of shipment into Afghanistan and with various other places. So it's good. It's good. It's a win-win for both nations, for Balochistan as well as India. So yeah, it could happen in the next couple of weeks. What else do we have? Nikunj Sharma says, what do you think? Will Pakistan learn anything from this, or are they going to retain the same mindset and they'll repeat what they always do? So if you want to know whether someone is going to learn from what's happening now, or whether they will learn nothing and keep doing the same thing, all you have to do to predict the future is to look at the past history. All you have to do is look at the past history. We have about roughly 80 years of Pakistan history, right? Roughly, slightly less than that. Before that, there was no Pakistan. It was part of our land, our civilization. So we have about 80 years of history to look back at. In the past 80 years, have they ever learned from their defeats? They have fought how many wars with India? 47, 48, that's one war. Then 65, that's two. 71 is three. 99 is four. And this is the fifth one. So they've fought 4 wars with us. They've lost every single war. 71 was devastating. It was a vivisection of Pakistan. Have they ever learned anything from this? Have they changed their ways? They have never learned a thing. They have never changed their ways. They've always doubled down on fighting India. As long as this entity exists, it's gonna keep behaving the same way. If we back down from what's happening, we de-escalate and let Pakistan get away scot-free, then in 2 weeks' time after the war is over, this war, today's war, in 2 weeks they will be going all over social media, going all over the Western media, saying that we actually won this engagement. They will be claiming in 2 weeks' time that we actually defeated India in this engagement. We forced them to back down. That's what they will be claiming all across Western media. And then they will double down on terrorism. They'll tell the people that we actually defeated India, we frightened India, we made India back down, and now we're going to show them who we are. So as long as this entity exists, they're going to behave this way. They're going to behave the exact same way. So they have this today. The Pahalgam attack was barbaric. It was extraordinarily painful to see how those people suffered, how the people were shot, how those ladies were sitting and crying next to the bodies of their relatives. Horrible thing. But by doing this, Pakistan has given India a golden opportunity to end this once and for all. And India should not back down. The Pakistanis are not going to back down. They're going to continue the strikes on India. So this is the time. Everyone asks me, how many Ask Abhijit sessions I've done? This is the 244th episode, right? In every episode from episode 1 until today's episode 244, people have asked me, when is the right time to take back POK? This is the right time. Okay. Nobi-san says, what about Afghanistan? As they said, they would support Pakistan if India takes any action after the Pahalgam attack. I am not sure who in Afghanistan has said that. As far as I know and I've seen, the Taliban actually supported India, expressed support towards India after the news of the Pahalgam attack came out. The Taliban do not support Pakistan. The Taliban despise Pakistan. They are Pashtuns. Do you have any idea how much the Pashtuns have suffered at the hands of the Pakistanis? How much Afghanistan has suffered at the hands of Pakistan? Why is Afghanistan a war-torn, devastated nation? Because of Pakistan. The Pashtuns hate Pakistan. And Pakistan occupies a significant portion of historical Pashtun land, which is what's called the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan, KPK. So Pakistan and Afghanistan have a deep, long-standing, century and a half long or older than that territorial dispute. The Taliban are Pashtun nationalists. They want the Pashtun territory back. And they have this blood enmity with the Punjabis, Pakistani Punjabis. Afghanistan is not going to support Pakistan. Okay? And go and see on social media what the reactions of the Afghans are. I'm not going to ask you to cherry pick the good reactions. I'm going to tell you, do a statistical survey of what is the kind of reaction like. Take 100 samples, take 200 samples of Afghan reactions on social media to the ongoing war between India and Pakistan. Who's supporting whom? I assure you, a majority of Afghans, Pashtuns at least, support India. And the Pashtuns are the majority population. Dungar Singh Chauhan says, do you really think doing blackouts in the age of infrared goggles, thermal cameras, and GPS does it really make any sense? Well, it doesn't hurt to take extra precautions. I know what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you actually. But there's no harm in taking extra precautions, because see, Pakistan does have Turkish drones, which they have in limited numbers. And most modern drones, you can feed GPS coordinates into them, and the drone will just fly. Whether it's day or night doesn't matter. Whether there's light or not doesn't matter. So whether you black out your city or not doesn't really matter if you have a drone that has GPS coordinates fed into it and is able to access GPS by using whatever means. In that case, your blackout won't matter. In case you're firing a missile at someone, and once again, if you can feed coordinates into the missile, it doesn't really matter. But we know that Pakistan It's a pretty primitive nation. Look, I'm not saying India is a very advanced nation. We are also a third world nation. But if you compare India and Pakistan, then Pakistan is fourth world, right? So if you look at the weapon systems they have, not all of those weapon systems are 21st century weapon systems. Some of them could be pretty primitive. So if you have a city that is blacked out, then maybe it gives you a better chance. Maybe not all of Pakistan's weapons use GPS. Maybe some of them need visual confirmation of the target. It always helps to take extra precautions. It doesn't hurt at all, right? Yeah, it's kind of an inconvenience. The city is blacked out, there's no power. You have to put the curtains on the windows and use little light. And maybe there's no internet, so you can't do scrolling of Instagram reels. Okay, small price to pay. So you're right, actually, but overall I think it doesn't hurt to take extra precautions. Silly Gurian Doraemon says, Silly Gurian Doraemon, if Pakistan falls apart, what happens to its nuclear weapons? And that's a big question. That is the big question that we're going to have to address, because it is probably going to fall apart sometime soon. So, what happens to the nukes? I think we're going to have a contingency plan. Now, I can't give you the answers, but the Indian military and the Indian armed forces government, they will probably have a plan for this. How to secure the nukes before they start floating around the world. We don't want loose nukes. So I am pretty sure we have a very clear idea of where the nukes are. And I'm sure we have multiple contingency plans, plan A, plan B, plan C, multiple scenarios of what to do when Pakistan starts breaking apart. McLovin says, so Chinese air defenses failed to stop our drones, and now apparently an intact Chinese missile was found in Indian territory. Can we say the Chinese weapons aren't really up to the mark? I think we can safely say that. So the Pakistanis have Chinese radars and air defense systems, and those failed completely. Pakistan has been hit at will by India, not with supersonic cruise missiles, which are very hard to stop by anyone, but we have hit them with loitering drones, subsonic drones, right? Drones that you can see coming in and screaming down and then hitting the target. And they haven't been able to take these drones out. Maybe they took a few drones out, but we have scored multiple very, very painful, damaging hits. We took out Lahore's air defense system. We destroyed so many of those terror infrastructure buildings and whatnot. The headquarters of the LET. We took out the terrorist who killed Daniel Pearl, and so at least 100 more terrorists have died. The Pakistani military gave them state funerals. So we have been able to hit Pakistan at will, and the Pakistani air defenses failed. And what's worse is that we sent drones to film the hits. So we had systems that were targeting the terror infrastructure and dropping bombs and missiles and whatnot at these buildings. At the same time, we had drones which were loitering over the area and filming what was happening. And the films have been put out in the public domain. And that is evidence that is incontrovertible. So we had drones flying over Pakistan, just standing there essentially, floating over an area and filming the hits calmly. And the Pakistanis were not able to take those drones out. So what's very clear is that Pakistan's air defense is joke. It's a joke. It's non-existent. Forget about stopping a BrahMos. They can't even detect a drone, a slow-moving, loitering drone. That's how bad the Chinese air defense systems are, because these are Chinese air defense systems. Yeah, and they have fired Chinese missiles at us, and apparently a Chinese missile was found deep inside Indian territory, more or less intact. It apparently did not hit any target. It just ran out of fuel and dropped. So it's kind of damaged, but not damaged in the sense that it slammed into something. It just ran out of fuel and dropped down. That's it. So that's, I would say, very valuable war booty. And our engineers and scientists are now going to take that thing apart and they're going to glean out all the secrets of China's technology. Maybe the missiles were better than the air defense systems, right? At least the missile flew 100 kilometers into Indian territory before dropping and not doing anything. But what kind of seekers do those missiles have, and what are the electronics like, and so on? That's very interesting to know. And I'm sure our American friends will also be interested in knowing what this is like. So maybe we can make a trade. You give us David Coleman Headley, and we give you the Chinese missile, or something like that. um, Bang says, in the worst case scenario of a nuclear exchange, are we capable of intercepting their warheads without major losses on our side? Probably. Yeah. See, they've tried. One thing that's very clear is that the Pakistanis have tried their best to hit Indian targets, like not towns and villages, but big cities, military installations. They've lobbed hundreds of drones and missiles at us, and our air defenses have taken all of these down. No major hits have happened, right? So we have been able to take out drones, maybe cruise missiles, and maybe rockets. Now, when it comes to a nuclear exchange, a hypothetical scenario which we don't ever want to see, but let's discuss it. When it comes to a nuclear exchange, there's two ways of delivering nukes, as far as I understand from the Pakistani side. One is ballistic missiles. They have all those ugly sounding ballistic missiles, right? All those uh, names of Turkic invaders, Ghori, Ghaznavi, and whatnot. So those are short to medium range ballistic missiles. Those have a very predictable parabolic trajectory, and once you know it's launched, you kind of know where it's going. That's one way of delivering a nuke from Pakistan's perspective. The other way is to send a fighter plane with a nuclear tipped missile on it. So even if the fighter plane is taken out, the missile may be hard to take out. That sort of scenario. Now, I am pretty sure that the S-400 can take out incoming ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. These people have cruise missiles as well, which may be, low flying cruise missiles. So our air defenses will be an extremely high alert the next couple of weeks. Um, I am sure that we have systems apart from the S-400 that can also do the job. For example, we have the Prithvi air defense system, which is a two missile system. One missile does the interception exoatmospherically outside of the Earth's atmosphere, that is above 100 kilometers from the Earth's surface. And there's a second layer, which is the endo-atmospheric interception, which intercepts the incoming missile at about 40 kilometers height. So it's a two-stage system. If the first one fails, the second one will come into action. That sort of thing. And then we have point defense systems, which include the Akash missile and whatever else we've been using the past couple of days. So I think we have pretty good air defense systems which can take out missiles of various kinds. So I think we should be in good shape, and we will probably have these systems positioned in strategic locations in all major cities. That's what I expect without actually knowing the details, right? So I think we should be in good shape, and I think we should not worry too much about this. Okay, Daddy of Dudu or Didi, whatever, says, when Pakistan breaks up, what happens to the Pakistani army? Who controls the bases in Sindhudesh, Punjab, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa? Whose vassals will they be, and who'll have boots on the ground? Good question. Look, when Pakistan breaks up, the army needs to be, what's the politically correct word? It needs to be neutralized. Okay? It needs to be, I would say it needs to be neutralized by India whenever the breakup happens. No element who was a member of the armed forces can be allowed to roam the world free. They're all criminals. So they will all have to be rounded up and processed. And overall, this organization, the ISI military terrorism combination combined entity, it needs to be completely thoroughly defanged and neutralized in whichever way is necessary. Let's not get into the details. Those operational details the armed forces can take care of in their own way, and they know how to do it. So that needs to happen to the Pakistan army. Absolutely. Then the question is who gets to control the bases in Sindhudesh, Punjab, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa? Um, Eventually, these nations, once they become properly independent and stand on their feet, they can set up their own things. But I think we should be there in an advisory capacity. India, we should learn from the way the Bangladesh situation was handled in 1971. We just handed over Bangladesh to a very new and inexperienced government, which was soon taken out by the military, and it became a military dictatorship. We don't want new military dictatorships emerging in these four nations. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa can go back into Afghanistan, and the Taliban government can take care of it. That's fine. But Sindhudesh, Punjab, Balochistan should have proper, clean, non-military democracies and no military rule again in the future. So we need to have a transition phase of a few years in which we handhold them through the process of becoming proper, good democracies and all that. So I think we need to do it, not anybody else. And we can't have the United Nations coming in, parachuting in. We liberate the countries and the UN comes in. Then no, stay out, get out. So we will have to do this whenever this happens. Hopefully soon. We don't want to call them vassals, and we should not treat anyone as vassals. We don't play the game that way. But we will certainly be, so to say, a mentor or a guide, and overall the civilizational same entity, right? That sort of thing. Okay, Vaibhav says, don't trust the media. I was a practicing anti-media. I trusted them for once yesterday, and they betrayed me by spreading lies about Karachi airport and a Pakistani soldier. Okay, I don't know which media network betrayed you. Look, the Indian media is a joke. The Indian media is a joke. I repeat that. Have you seen the Indian media coverage of anything? It's hyperbolic. It's over the top. I was trying to watch some news today, and half the Indian media channels who are covering the war have sirens going on in the background. So there are like 78 people on the screen trying to talk at the same time. In the background, there's the sound, wailing sound of sirens. And below the participants, there are flames and helicopters and fighter planes flying around. That's the way they do their job. That's their coverage of a war. And even the calmest channels will have 6 people minimum on the screen, all talking at the same time. And their analysis, it is painful to watch. And there are certain Indian media channels on which retired armed forces people come wearing uniforms, and they'll be happy to say whatever is the most inflammatory thing. And of course, you're paid to do this, so they'll play their role. And I would say the Hindi speaking media is the level of analysis is like several notches below the English speaking media. And in the English speaking channels, there are no real analysts. The best analysts they have are news readers. They simply read the news of a teleprompter. They don't have any analytical ability. So the Indian media is a joke, and there's a lot of nonsense that comes out on it. Okay, and half of what they claim during wartime is just rumors. Some of it may be true, but as long as the government doesn't corroborate it, it becomes a rumor. So that sort of thing. My point is, it is not a good idea to trust what the media says. And some of the Indian media outlets actually take the side of the enemy. And it's high time for the government to block these from being accessed in India. It's okay for them to be accessible to Pakistanis, but not here in India. A lot of India's media outlets, a significant percentage of these, take the side of India's enemies. So that's a big problem for India. So yeah, it's difficult to trust the media. It's hard to trust the media, and you should not trust the media. What I would suggest is that you should only believe what the government says. If you are from the US or if you're from the West listening to this, they laugh at what we are saying. because they don't trust their governments. But at this time in India, you should only believe what is being said officially in the daily press conferences. Of course, they will not tell you everything that's happening, but it's a good thing. Um, Geopolitical Dubey says, is there any possibility of a military coup because of the pressure of on the army in the temporary nation again? Oh, it's a big possibility. If the next few days Pakistan can't, land blows on India, Asim Munir, his job is going to be very tenuous. His job is going to be under threat. His life could be under threat. And the longer this continues, and the longer Pakistan is hit by India at will, and the longer the Pakistanis are unable to land blows on India, the higher the pressure will mount on the Pakistani military leadership. The first target is going to be Asim Munir. The first thing that generals will do is that they're going to point the finger of blame at Asim Munir. He's going to be out. It may happen in the next 3-4 days, 1 week at most. If in 1 week's time Pakistan is still being hammered and is unable to do anything back at India, Asim Munir, I can promise you, is going to be gone. But then whoever comes in his place, the pressure will immediately fall on that person. So even a military coup is not going to solve the problem the Pakistani military faces. And the problem is that they are incapable of defeating India. And they're incapable of defending their country against India. So that is the conundrum. And that's why if the situation continues, in 2 weeks' time, Pakistan is going to disintegrate. Maximum 2 weeks' time. Amisha says, Dr. Jaishankar, the Indian foreign minister, says firm, resolute response to terrorism at Europe Day celebrations. I think the message is loud and clear. So Dr. Jaishankar is doing exactly what needs to be done. I was saying yesterday, somebody had asked me what should be done. What should India do when it comes to messaging to the world about what's happening? And he's doing exactly what needs to be done. He's talking to all the top diplomats in the world, all the foreign ministers, all the people that matter, and he's constantly conveying India's position that we are doing the right thing. We are not a terrorist nation. We are fighting against terrorism. We are simply responding to terror, and our actions are measured and they are proportionate, and we are willing to de-escalate right now as long as the Pakistanis back down and stand down. But if they escalate, we're going to respond to that. So that message is loud and clear. It's being reiterated every single day, which is what needs to happen. So good. Exactly what needs to be done. Okay, Pranay Paul says, how vulnerable are Indian cities in the east like Guwahati or Kolkata to proxy attacks or misdirection tactics? Yeah, I kind of took that question some time ago, the question from Chiching. Every Indian city, whether it's east, west, north, south, is going to have to be on much higher alert than normal. Because our cities are infiltrated by foreigners. We may have 100 million Bangladeshis living in India, right? And we have had years to take care of the threat, but how many have been deported? These people, the illegal Bangladeshi infiltrators, the illegal Rohingya infiltrators, the illegal Pakistani infiltrators, the illegal cookies, these people are foreigners. They don't have any allegiance to Indian culture, civilization, or the Indian nation. They have no love for us, the Indian people. They can be used as tools, as pawns by foreign forces to wage war against our nation from within. So, and look, Pakistan is finding out very badly that it's unable to land any military blows on India. So then they will want to resort to their standard tactics of terrorism. And they will have sleeper cells within India. All these foreigners who are sitting in India. And if you want to activate Rohingyas in Bangladesh, the Bangladesh government will be happy to do it. Mohammed Yunus is an enemy of India. And even the cookies may have some connections with Mohammed Yunus or perhaps China, or who knows what else. So, big problem. We have enemies within. And as long as they exist on our soil, we are vulnerable. So, yeah, we are at risk when it comes to these matters. Samarth Tripathi says Pakistani F-16 went down with an AWACS aircraft as well, Advanced Warning Aerial Combat System or something it's called, with no confirmation of Chinese two JF-17s down. What do you think? Also seems like explosions heard in Samba, Jammu and Kashmir right now, and Samba and Pathankot. Also, look, the action is continuing. The war is on right now as we speak. I can see on the TV screen behind me that Pakistan is apparently widening the conflict. It is attacking the west of India and the north of India right now as we speak, apparently. And what about these aircraft that have apparently been hit? One AWACS. The AWACS would have been flying over Pakistan territory. It would not be stupid enough to intrude into Indian territory. But F-16s and J-17s, they will come into Indian territory if they are deployed. And if they are doing that, they are sending their pilots to their deaths. So even I heard the last 48 hours that one F-16 and two JF-17s went down. But the Indian government has not said a word about this. So we stay quiet. Because look, the Pakistanis, as long as we don't show the proof, the Pakistanis will try to brush this under the carpet, that they lost 2 aircraft or 3 aircraft. And the Pakistanis have a history of disowning their soldiers. So how about we keep this quiet? We don't shout from the rooftops that we took out 3 fighter planes. We take the pilots and we interrogate them. And we find out everything there is to know from these pilots. And if we tell the world that we have 1 pilot or 2 pilots who are who have been captured, then the world will start trying to pressurize India. Be magnanimous and return the pilot to Pakistan. The Pakistanis gave back Abhinandan. They gave back Abhinandan because we said we're going to flatten your country with BrahMos missiles all over the place. That's why they gave Abhinandan back. So if we have a Pakistani pilot, I'm not saying we have, but if we have a Pakistani pilot, we should not tell the world about it. Hold him, squeeze him, interrogate him. Be humane. We don't like Pakistanis who will torture prisoners, but interrogate the guy, right? Get out all the valuable intel, and then we'll see what to do later. So in case we have shot down fighter planes, maybe that's why we are keeping it quiet, perhaps. But I'm not saying we have. I'm not saying we have. I'm not saying we have not. It's all hypotheticals right now. But I hope you understand the thought process behind keeping such a matter quiet, if it has happened. Okay. Geopolitical Dubai again says, will the borders of India, Israel, and Russia expand in the near future? Is it inevitable? Russia's borders have expanded recently. They took Crimea in 2014, and now they've taken, since 22, they've taken about roughly a quarter of Ukraine, give or take, 1/4 or 1/5 of Ukraine. So their borders have already changed. Maybe if there's a ceasefire agreement sometime soon, then the borders will kind of freeze for a while for Russia. Apart from the Ukraine region, I don't see any Russian expansion anywhere else in the near future, at least. So that's about Russia. Israel, yeah, I think their borders have expanded recently after the Syria regime change operation and all that. They have nibbled away at some parts of Syria, and they have control over more of the territory in the Golan Heights region, and around that time, Mount what I forget the name of the mountain, and so on. So yeah, Israel's territory has kind of crept forward a little bit. What about India? I think in the next 2 weeks, the borders of the subcontinent may change. If Pakistan collapses, if this war continues, the next 2 weeks, Pakistan will collapse. That's how far. Actually, that's how close Pakistan is to collapse. Just 2 weeks maximum. If this war continues, in that case, the borders of India will change. They will expand. Khush Advani says, what news sources do you follow to know what's happening live? I look at everything. If I decide that, okay, I want to take stock of what's happening, I give myself 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, and I just surf all TV channels, all the news channels. You go to YouTube and it's live. There's live streams of all major media outlets, whether it's Indian media outlets or other media outlets, and you quickly scan what's happening and what they're saying. That's how I do it. And obviously I have online sources as well that I read. So the right approach for me, from my perspective, is to have a 360-degree perspective. See what Indian channels are saying, see what Pakistani channels, if accessible, are saying, see what the West is saying, see what the Chinese are saying, see what the Russians are saying, see what everybody else is saying, see what the Arabs are saying, Al Jazeera. Get a 360-degree perspective. And I, because of my understanding, I know what perspective each media network has. I know what BBC will say about India. I know what Al Jazeera will say about India. I know what the New York Times will say. I know what the Washington Post will say. I know what Le Figaro will say. I know what Deutsche Welle will say. I know each channel has a specific approach towards India and the matters of the subcontinent. So if they are saying this, what does it really mean? I kind of can tell. It's something you develop over time with experience. So that's what I do, and then I get a proper perspective, and then I draw my own conclusions based on very specific data points, hard data points, which is typically numbers, which is typically based on numbers. So you can actually, uh, foresee scenarios and assign percentages to each scenario and that sort of thing. A forecasting methodology, which involves a bit of statistical analysis and predictive analysis. So that's kind of how I do things. Okay. Tushar Kalburgi says, has a coup happened against the Pakistani chief Asim Munir? I don't see any such thing having happened thus far. Now, this is an interesting point by Jyotish Sharma. We could see Pakistan sending civilian aircraft right now, hiding behind civilian aircraft while attacking. What steps could be done? Let's take a look at this, shall we? Give me a second. I'll put this on the screen. I usually have a map on the screen. This time I'm going to have a different kind of a map on the screen. Give me a second. And this is a live view of air activity in the world. This is called Flight Radar 24. It's a very good resource that you can use to see what's happening. So as always, you're going to have a big hole in the sky, nothing flying over Ukraine, for obvious reasons. Nobody wants to fly over Ukraine right now. And now over Pakistan, you have a couple of aircraft. So as you can see, we have a whole bunch of aircraft in Delhi, but we have shut off the airspace north of Delhi. So there's no aircraft going to Leh. There's no aircraft going to Punjab, no aircraft going to Chandigarh, no aircraft going into Srinagar, and so on. Rajasthan also seems to be right now quiet. But in Pakistan, there are aircraft flying. What is this? This is the Pakistan International Airlines aircraft from Karachi to Lahore. Now you have more aircraft. This is what? This is Islamabad to Dammam. What is this here? Karachi to Islamabad, and so on. So they are still operating commercial aircraft at a time when they are at war and they are trying to hit Indian targets with drones and missiles and rockets. And they know that India is going to fire back at them. So what the Pakistanis want, let me explain to you. Okay, what the Pakistanis want? They want India to mistakenly target a civilian aircraft so that they get to cry victim. They get to play victim. If India makes a mistake and by mistake takes down a civilian aircraft, which can happen during a time of war, then Pakistan gets to play victim. That's what they're trying to do. They have their own civilians who are flying in these commercial planes. And they are using these civilians as shields. Just imagine what kind of mindset the Pakistani government, military, ISI, terrorism complex has. A criminal mindset. They are hiding behind their own civilians. They're using their own civilians as shields. And they want India to shoot down one of these commercial aircraft. If that happens, they can go to the world and say that India is evil and we are the victims and India is the aggressor. That's what they're trying to do. Shameful people. They want this to happen. They want their people to die. They want India to make a mistake and shoot down a civilian aircraft. Abysmal, horrible approach the Pakistanis have. Okay. What else do we have? Luffy says India's military vastly outmatches Pakistan's. Yet history shows that weaker powers like Vietnam and Afghanistan have defeated stronger adversaries. Can Pakistan ever dream of doing the same? So Vietnam defeated the United States. The United States came from half the planet away. And the Vietnamese knew how to fight on their own land. right? And they knew their land very well, and they were fighting for their homeland. So they were much more motivated than the Americans who had come from God knows where, and who half of them did not even know what they were fighting for. That's why the Vietnamese were able to win at tremendous cost to their country. They're still paying the price. There are still bombs all over Vietnam. Horrible. What about Afghanistan? Afghanistan was invaded by the Soviets. The Soviet Union is far away. Russia is far away from Afghanistan, right? So the Afghans, the Pashtuns, were defending their homeland. They had nowhere else to go. So they fought, and that's why they won. And they understood their territory better than the Russians. That's why they fought. Now, when it comes to a fight between India and Pakistan, Pakistan is historically our territory. It was given away by people against who did not consult India. So we know the territory like the back of our hand. It is our territory. And we are not foreign invaders. So you see there's a big difference, huge difference. And we are not going to kill the Pakistanis and steal their land. We're going to liberate them from the oppressor, which is the Pakistani military ISI terrorism complex. So we are not foreign invaders. We're going to be liberators. And our power does vastly outmatch Pakistan and all that. So you have to pick the right examples. Giving the example of Vietnam against the US or Afghanistan against the USSR is not the right example. It's not the right comparison to make. In our case, of Pakistan is our territory historically. We know it really well. We know the people, we know the culture, we know everything. And we're fighting a just war here. We are the victims. And we want to liberate the people of Pakistan from the oppressor. And we don't want to steal their resources and their territory and whatnot. We just want to end the reign of terror of the Pakistani ISI military complex and then be done with it. Big difference. Huge difference. Okay. Surinder Gupta says the S-400 proves to be a sophisticated air defense system. What are the other air defense systems being used by India? The S-400 is hardly being used. Okay? Don't listen to the media. The media has no idea what's happening. The S-400, like I said in the beginning of today's live stream, the S-400 is used for very specific cases. It is used to take out fighter planes. It's used to take out ballistic missiles and possibly cruise missiles. It's not used to take out drones and rockets and artillery shells and whatnot. No. For doing that, we have other systems. And the system that has turned out to be the superstar in the past 48 hours is the Akash SAM, the Akash surface to air missile. That's turned out to be the real superhero in the past 48 hours. So it's the Akash SAM that has been the hero, the star of the action in the past 48 hours and right now as well. The S-400, it's used for bigger threats, like F-16s, like JF-17 fighter planes made by China, or ballistic missiles and so on, short to medium range and so on. Okay. Dave says, how long are we going to play defense? I think it's high time we should make the first move rather than waiting for Pakistan to make the move. What are your thoughts on this? Patience. And I'm not saying be patient the next 10 years. I'm saying wait 1 to 2 weeks. See, let's understand what's happening. I understand. I see journalists on Twitter saying how I don't understand India's restraint. A journalist tweeted that yesterday. Understand what's happening. The Pakistanis, for better or for worse, for good or for bad, have given India a once in 80 years opportunity to end the terror state once and for all. Okay? Pakistan is running short of supplies. They, as a vassal of the Biden regime, they gave a lot of ammunition to Ukraine. Now they are running short of ammunition. They are trying to lob missiles and rockets and drones at us right now. It's happening right now. Last night, they lobbed more than 400 to 500 drones, Turkish drones at us. Nothing was hit. Everything was taken out. And we have been hitting them at will. We did it very visibly. The Pakistanis can't deny what we've destroyed: the terror infrastructure, the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the cricket stadium in Rawalpindi, the air defense system in Lahore, and something in Karachi and whatnot. We have hit them visibly in broad daylight at will. So, what is the perception that the Pakistani public will have? The military is incompetent. Incompetent. They can't defend the country. They can't defend themselves, and they can't hit India, even though they've been trying the past 48 hours. The longer this situation continues, the more pressure there will be on the military, and the more the fault lines within Pakistan will become active. Balochistan is already declaring independence. Sindhu Desh will become restive. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region, the Pashtuns, they'll say, enough, we don't want the Pakistani military above us. We are going back to Afghanistan. They'll rise up and revolt against the Pakistani military. And soon you will have revolts all over the country. The longer this lasts, the more precarious the situation of the Pakistani military dictatorship becomes. All we have to do, see, if the Pakistanis fail to hit a big target in India, then it means the military is an illegitimate force. And this, they've been trying 48 hours. They'll try tonight, won't work. They'll try it next 3-4 days. By the time, the public pressure will be too high, and you will have riots on the streets. So the Pakistani military is facing a ticking clock, a countdown to zero. 2 weeks at most before Pakistan disintegrates. 2 weeks at most before Pakistan disintegrates. So we don't have to play offense. Play defense. Make sure Pakistan can't hit you. They keep trying to hit you. Don't allow them. And when the time is right, you make your move. And the time is going to be right within the next 2 weeks. Wait, have a little patience. We have waited how many years? Almost 80 years. Wait. It's going to take 2 to 14 days. 2 to 14 days. If the situation continues. Unless the Indian government says, okay, we will genuinely disengage. Which I don't think Mr. Modi wants to do. Knowing Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi is a different kind of prime minister. I don't think he will let go of this opportunity. And the Americans have made it very clear that as long as the situation doesn't spill beyond the Indian subcontinent, we can do what we want. I think we are living in a historic time. We are witnessing a turning point in world history, the beginning of the turning point. So, patience. All right. Same question. Will Pakistan learn a lesson or continue terrorism in the future? They won't last more than 2 weeks, the way things are going. So there's no lesson to be learned. It's over. Pakistan won't exist possibly in 2 weeks. And I hope I am right. Okay. Mr. 88 says, is there any chance the US may impose sanctions on us if the war drags on, as the Indian government considers the threat of potential US tariffs? We are currently in the process of negotiating the tariff issue with the US right now. Right now, as we speak, we may be in the final phases of the negotiations. So we are doing exactly what the Americans want when it comes to the tariffs. So there is nothing, there is no point of contention there. When it comes to sanctions, why would they sanction a nation that they need on their side? They need to be on their side in the effort to contain China. We are in the beginning of a new Cold War, the US versus China, and they need India on their side. India is a vital piece of the puzzle for them. It's the only nation in Eurasia that can stand up to China. Russia can, but Russia is on China's side right now because Russia has no choice. So the US needs India on its side. Why would they impose sanctions on India? You do that only if you're suicidal, right? There is no chance the US will impose sanctions on India. And if you go by what J.D. Vance, the vice president of the US, said yesterday, he essentially gave the message that India can do what it wants with Pakistan, as long as the situation does not spill out of beyond the Indian subcontinent. Deal with them, do whatever you want, but be on our side when it comes to China. Right. Let's see, what else do we have? We're going to talk about the Pakistan issue today. There are all kinds of other questions, but right now is not the time for the other questions. Um, Geopolitical Dubey says, is India waiting for. Now, this is a good question. Is India waiting for Pakistan to use up all their drones, all their missiles? Yeah, then they will come, they will charge at us on horses and donkeys. See, Pakistan has a limited supply of drones, missiles, whatever. They may have some factories that make bullets and shells, perhaps, but the sophisticated weaponry like drones, missiles, and whatnot, it comes from beyond Pakistan. Some of it is supplied by China, some of it by Turkey. The drones they used yesterday, 400, 500 drones, these were Turkish drones, all failed. So yeah, let's wait. Let's wait. Let them try. Let them try. It's happening right now. They're firing more drones apparently. There are blasts in Kartarpur and so on. They are trying. The Pakistanis are trying. Keep trying. We have adequate supplies of everything we need. We have our own factories that make the drones and ammunition and whatnot. So just wait patiently next 3-4 days, 1 week. In 1 week, they'll have nothing left. So yeah, you're right. It's a wait and watch strategy right now. Let them use up everything they have. Then we'll deal with them. Divyanshu says, does this Indo-Pak war have any connection or relation to the Bangladesh uprising? Like, can we link this war to the uprisings in Bangladesh? Are there uprisings in Bangladesh right now? I am not aware of. If there are uprisings happening in Bangladesh right now, I'm not aware of them. We recently had a regime change in Bangladesh. Is that what you're referring to? In which Sheikh Hasina was ousted and Mohammed Yunus was brought to power by the Americans. That was the Biden regime. Trump doesn't seem to have any fondness for the Biden regime installed government in Bangladesh, but they may use it for something. Maybe they want to have an air base or some kind of military base in Bangladesh, in which case Bangladesh will be useful for them. But I don't think the Indo-Pak war that's happening right now is connected to Bangladesh. If Bangladesh becomes active militarily, then there may be a connection. But right now, this is simply Pakistan's own doing. This is simply their own stupidity that has brought them in this position of being caught between a rock and a hard place with nowhere to go. Here, both bad. That's where they are right now. So this is a problem that they find themselves in, and it's a problem of their own making. They made this. They have dug their grave. Kick says, isn't it dangerous to engage in a long war when there's more than 100 million illegal infiltrators inside India? Now Pakistani agents can easily enter India via East Pakistan. That's the one Achilles heel of India. And I simply don't understand why the government has not evicted these illegals the past 10, 11 years. I just don't get it. So that is a problem. Now I hope that this war serves as an inflection point, as a turning point, as a tipping point for India. And going forward, we adopt a complete non-tolerance policy towards illegal infiltrators. Recently, we deported tens of thousands of illegal Pakistani infiltrators who had been living in India, some of them for decades. Some of them even have generations of kids living in India. All of them have to be deported. Just because you're born in India doesn't make you Indian. Do you understand that? That's India's policy. That's India's law. We don't recognize citizenship by birth. We don't recognize jus soli. We recognize jus sanguinis, citizenship by descent. So if you are a Bangladeshi who infiltrated into India in 1971, and that Bangladeshi has children and grandchildren, they should all be deported. You cannot be soft-hearted in matters of national security when it comes to people who have no allegiance to you or your nation or your culture or your civilization. They have to be all deported. It's not my fault that they were born here, right? It's not our country's fault that they were born here. They came in illegally, they have to go out. The same applies to Rohingyas, to Bangladeshis, to Pakistanis, to Cookies, everybody. Out. I hope the government adopts a non-tolerance policy going forward, because it is a national security threat. It is a huge drain on our economy. Imagine 100 million people leeching off your economy, of your resources. It's high time the government does something about this. Let this be, hopefully, a tipping point, a turning point for India. I hope so. Tanmay Deshpande says, I heard that tonight's IMF meeting, International Monetary Fund meeting, will decide the future of the war, of this war. If the Pakistanis are given a loan, then India will not back down. What are my thoughts? Because they attacked Jammu right now. Who is the IMF to decide the future of this war or the future of what happens in our subcontinent? Who the hell are the IMF to decide that? And if they give a loan to Pakistan, they are simply funding and financing terrorism. I think it will make sense for them not to do it. But if they do, well, then we should do what we have to do. And we have Pakistan where Pakistan deserves to be right now. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Caught between the devil and the deep sea. So now that we have Pakistan where we want them, we should take this to the end game and finish this off. When there's no Pakistan left, what will the IMF do? Who will they give that money to? It's a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. Yeah, so Pakistan will be attacking right now. I don't know, they're attacking Jammu, are they? Possibly. I have a TV screen in front of me on the other side of the lens. So, behind the lens. Right. And the same question I get every time. Space ED says, this is the best chance to capture POK? It'll affect both Pakistan and China. Why is India not taking advantage of the situation? I answered the question just now, like 5 minutes ago. This is not the best chance to capture POK. This is the best chance to dismantle Pakistan. This is bigger than POK. This is free Balochistan. This is the independence of Balochistan. This is the independence of Sindhu Desh. This is the reintegration of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa into Afghanistan and the reintegration of Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir into India. That's what we are staring at right now. That's where we are. It's not about POK anymore. It's about the future of Pakistan itself. Pakistan has reached that stage right now. That in 2 weeks there possibly will be no Pakistan left. That's where we are. Nutan says, what about Project K? It's not about Pakistan, but yeah, what about Project K? I think it all depends on the Trump regime. Because Project K, Cookie Land for Christ, this project of creating a fake artificial Pakistan-like country out of parts of India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and in the Indian states of Manipur and Mizoram, that project, Cookie Land for Christ, Project K, is a US creation. It was a creation of the Biden regime, which was very bitterly anti-India. Now, Trump seems to have a different policy towards India. He needs India on his side when it comes to the China matter. I think it is time for Trump and his regime, his administration, to end the funding and the support for Project K and whatever other nefarious activities the Americans have been conducting in India's Far East, which includes Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and whatnot, Arunachal Pradesh as well. The industrial scale Christianization project that has been going on for a long time, all of that needs to end if they need us, if they want us on their side. So Project K needs to be dismantled. And once that happens, India should take the same kind of action in Manipur and Mizoram. That's what's happening right now on the western border. And evict all the foreigners squatting on Indian territory and brutalizing the natives, the indigenous Indians. That needs to happen. So I think that's the next phase. Once we deal with Pakistan, we need to deal with that. Right. Okay, let's see some more questions. Yuvraj Shekhawat says, why are you saying cookies are outsiders? Some of them are in India, some are in Bangladesh, some are in Myanmar. So we have some culture link. Why we join them in India instead of breaking India? Sir, you have absolutely no understanding of the history, right? You only see the perspective of, you take a picture of the world like this as it is right now, and you say, oh, there are these people here, so why are you saying they're outsiders? Learn some history, study some history, take some time, spend some energy. I know studying is hard and difficult, it hurts the mind. If you don't know your history, you will never know what's going to happen to your country. You will have no control over what's happening. The cookies are foreigners. They were brought in by the British as a punishment to the locals. Please learn history before talking nonsense, sir. Otherwise, you'll say even Bangladeshis are insiders. Why are you saying we should remove Bangladeshis? If you don't know history, you should spend some time to study it before making silly statements. Okay? No foreigners should be in India, especially those who act like barbarians and who kill innocent people. You have no idea of what they've been doing in Manipur, even in the past 3 years, 2 years, right? Since May 23. And you have no idea of their history before May 23. They have been fighting the Bangladeshis to create a separate country. In the 1990s, they fought the Nagas of Nagaland and Manipur. They tried to kill them all. Since the 19th century, they've been killing locals, indigenous people. You have no understanding, but you want to pass judgment over what should be. I just don't get Indians. I know it's not your fault. You are taught nothing in the education system. The education system doesn't teach real history, but you have a responsibility to learn it on your own. If your school teacher did not teach you, or if your textbook did not teach you, learn some history. Otherwise, you will be a person who is rudderless, and you will support the wrong causes, and that's not good for your country, is it? Rata Apte says, if Pakistan breaks up into pieces, will terrorism die with it, or will it take some new form? See, terrorism terrorism needs funding. Terrorism needs a certain support. It also needs fertile ground ideologically, culturally, etc. So it is to end terrorism, you have to first of all end funding for terrorism, and you also have to end the terrorists, the people who have indulged in terrorism in the past. You have to neutralize them, eliminate them in whichever form you want to. So it's not going to be easy even after Pakistan breaks up to completely stamp out terrorism. It's going to be a process. It'll take some time. The first thing you have to do is to de-radicalize the population, which generally takes 30, 40, 50, 60 years. How did Pakistan get radicalized and become a terrorist nation? Started in the 1980s with the reforms in the education system implemented by Zia-ul Haq, the military dictator of Pakistan, who hanged Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. That guy reformed his education system and completely radicalized his people as a result. And which is why I keep saying we need to reform our education system so as to, have a higher quality population. Our education system is keeping our people illiterate, and people then ask questions like, why do you consider Cookies outsiders or Bangladeshis outsiders? Because you don't learn your history, you don't learn what the national interest is. So coming back to Pakistan, if Pakistan breaks into pieces, it's going to be a long process of ending terrorism. Because look, the nation may break into 4 pieces, but the population is still the same. So it's going to be a long road ahead. It's just simply breaking Pakistan into pieces is not going to be the end of the story. We're going to have to identify all the terrorists. You can't allow them to reintegrate into the population and claim to be nice people. The people who have been doing all those things that are unspeakable. You can't have them reintegrate into society. You have to permanently remove them from society. It's going to be a long process. But the first step is the disintegration of Pakistan. Sunita says, do you think it's time for a change in our nuclear doctrine to first use? I think it's okay to have a stated no first use doctrine, and then if the situation arises, you can do whatever you want. It's not like we have signed a contract that we are bound to abide by, right? I personally am not in favor of a no first use doctrine. I personally believe that every nation has the right to use arms that it has, either as first use or second use. We are not under any obligation to not use any weapon first. But as far as the doctrine is concerned, maybe we can change it, but there's no need to announce it. So we should keep some ambiguity, in my opinion, when it comes to our nuclear doctrine. Maybe it's okay to make the world believe that we have a no first use doctrine, But when it suits our national interest, if required, we can use it first. So strategic ambiguity is always the best way to go about things. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't agree. I am not in favor of a no first use doctrine, an actual no first use doctrine. It's silly. And the same question was asked by Moonlight Sonata, so I answered that question. Okay. Ashwin says, why Turkey has this fondness which is increasing towards Pakistan? Is it because of hegemony towards an Islamic world? If not Saudi Arabia, we would new world order. Okay, I'm kind of getting what you're asking. Why does Turkey love Pakistan so much? And what about the Islamic world? Who wants to be the leader of the Islamic world? There are multiple contenders for the leadership of the Islamic world. Pakistan says that we are the only Islamic nuclear power. We have the Islamic nuclear bomb, so we should be the leader of the Islamic world. But they are a ragtag third world, half naked nation, half starving, half bankrupt. So because of that, they aren't in a position to be the leaders of the Islamic world. Which other contenders do we have? Saudi Arabia is the home of Islam. They are the custodians of the great the holiest cities of Islam, right? Saudi Arabia. And they are the richest of the Islamic nations, and they are the birthplace of the Prophet of Islam. So that makes Saudi Arabia the natural contender for being the leader of the Islamic world. Then there's another country called Turkey, and they were they are the continuation, so to say, in a smaller form of the Ottoman Empire. The last caliph was Turkish. They are the whole institution of the caliphate from 1456 onwards until 1920, 21. Around that time, the caliphate lasted. It was all the caliphs were Turks until that during that time period. So they consider themselves to be the natural contenders for being the leaders of the Islamic world. And the Saudis and the Turks don't get along, so there's that friction there. And then there's one more contender, which is Iran, the Persian Empire. But the Persian Empire was not Islamic, right? But Iran also has these imperial ambitions because they used to be an empire in the past. Uh, but they are a different kind of Islamic nation. Half their population probably doesn't practice Islam anymore. Islam is not their ancestral religion. Um, it's kind of a situation like India, actually, but India never got converted fully like Iran did. And Iran practices Shia Islam, which is at loggerheads with all other forms of all the other nations which we mentioned, which practice Sunni Islam. So there's that Islamic schism, right? The Shia Sunni schism and all that. So that's the situation when it comes to the leadership of the Islamic world. So there's no clear leader right now. Probably the clearest contender is Saudi Arabia at this point in time, and so on. So why does Turkey have this fondness for Pakistan? I discussed this some time ago. Because they are very similar nations. Both nations don't have a history; they have a criminal record, and Turkey knows that Pakistan doesn't really have the credentials for being the leader of the Islamic world, and they also know that the Pakistanis worship Turkey these days, like they used to worship the Arabs in the past. Um, and they imagine the Pakistanis that they are descendants of Turks who ruled over the subcontinent and so on. So Turkey kind of leverages that, and they hopefully want to tap into some of the nuclear technology in the future, if possible, and so on. And there is this common shared hatred for polytheism, which is us. So that is another, factor that causes this convergence, especially when it comes to India. And so on. So these are the reasons why Pakistan and Turkey have this convergence. Okay. Soham says, will a nuclear war happen? No, it won't happen. Don't worry. Why are the attacks from Pakistan to Indian cities made in the night? Because it's harder to defend in the night traditionally. It's dark, so it's harder. There's a little extra amount of difficulty. Maybe look, in today's day and age, it doesn't matter whether it's day or night. Your instruments will tell you everything. Your technology will be able to shoot down things in complete total darkness if you need to. But it adds a little extra layer of difficulty. That's why you typically do things in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. Or if you want to invade a neighboring country, you do the first attack at 5 a.m. or something, or 4 a.m. before anyone wakes up. The deepest time of sleep and all that. So that's why generally it's done in the dead of night. So once darkness falls, they start their nefarious activity, and that's, I believe, what's happening right now in Jammu. Air raid sirens in Jammu. Okay. Rigved says, why is the world's media not covering this war, India Pakistan, like the Israel Hamas war or the Russia Ukraine war? You see, it's because the West seems to believe that their problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not their problems. They think that the world is centered around them. And the things that they are obsessed with, they will cover 24 by 7. Israel Hamas. It's not even a contest. Hamas is no match for Israel, but they will cover it constantly because they are obsessed with Israel. Because Israel has a hold over the West. Yeah, Israel does have a hold over the West. So that's why they are obsessed with that particular conflict, Israel Hamas war. Every single media outlet will cover it half the time, half the day, the Israel Hamas war. But this war, India Pakistan, no one's talking about it outside of India, outside of the subcontinent. So it's because they have this delusional view of the world that their problems are the world's problems, their obsessions should be the world's obsessions, while the world's problems don't matter to them. And that situation is changing because the world is changing, and in a couple of decades, Europe is going to be the backwater of the world. Yeah. Okay. King Dope is saying Pakistan is doing exactly what Hamas did. They're trying to create a narrative, and they're trying to play victim, and they're trying to paint India as the villain, especially on TikTok. How should we tackle this and win the narrative war? So we have a population of 1.4 billion people. We are also all over social media. Take some time out every day to remind the world that this is a nation that created the Taliban. This is the nation that sheltered Osama bin Laden for a decade. This is the nation that produced people who flew aircraft into the World Trade Center buildings in New York City. This is a nation that produced people who hijack aircraft, like the Indian Airlines aircraft, IC-7, whatever it was. This is the nation that produced people that carried out the Mumbai terror attack, Ajmal Kasab, and so on. This is the nation that produced people who cut off the head of the American Jewish journalist Daniel Pearl, and so on. Remind the world constantly of these facts. Start with the Osama bin Laden fact. Yes, Pakistan is a very peaceful country, says Osama. I lived peacefully there for a decade. Remind the world every day. Every Indian can be a warrior on social media for the cause of the motherland. Right? If all Indians spend if each Indian spends just 5 minutes a day doing this, imagine what happens to Pakistani propaganda. Don't fight Pakistanis. Just put out facts every day. Remind the world once a day, each Indian, that Pakistan is the nation that sheltered Osama bin Laden and created the Taliban and killed Daniel Pearl and whatnot. Okay? You do that, the propaganda will be destroyed. Okay, that's how you tackle this and win the narrative war. That's what each citizen can do for India. What the government needs to do is to win this war. Okay. Samarth Raman says, Is Pakistan sending swarms of low-cost drones to Jammu, Pathankot, Jaisalmer to deplete our air defense before launching missiles? Using S-400s for cheap drones is super costly. Jai Hind. We are not using S-400s for cheap drones. We have a multi-layered air defense system. Some of these drones, we are bringing them down using non-kinetic means, without hitting them with anything. Sounds like black magic. Maybe it is black magic. There are ways of doing it. Many of these drones are being brought down untouched. Okay. And some of them, we are taking them out with Akash surface-to-air missiles. The Akash surface-to-air missile we have in very large quantities. And we make it at home. We don't import it from somewhere. So Mr. Modi will say, okay, call up. I need 10,000 more. You're going to have them in a week's time. Whatever, that's how it is. So we are not going to run out of anything. Our air defenses won't be depleted. We also have other air defense systems, which I will not name here. The S-400 is not being used for cheap drones. It's hardly been used. It has allegedly been used 3 times only thus far to allegedly perhaps bring down something larger. The S-400 is for larger targets. It's not for drones, cheap drones. All right. So don't worry. We are covered. We are well prepared. Murali, Murali Krishna says, "What's the advantage of hitting a cricket stadium?" I I think you'll have to ask somebody else, maybe in the armed forces, why did you choose the cricket stadium in Rawalpindi? Look, first of all, it did not kill any civilian. Um, I don't know. I will choose not to speculate about why we hit a cricket stadium. But yeah, so apparently there's some Pakistani version of the IPL that exists apparently, and it's called the Pakistan Super League or PSL or something, and some low quality cricketers play there apparently, who can't play the IPL, who are not good enough to play the IPL. So apparently that Pakistan League is happening, and we hit the stadium, and now the Pakistanis have decided to possibly take the league out of Pakistan and maybe play in the UAE. But apparently the UAE's cricket board has said that we are not welcome here. So I'm not sure where they will play now. Maldives, Bangladesh, not sure. Whatever. Apparently even the IPL, our IPL, has been postponed by a week or something. So yeah, that's what happens when you're at war. Okay. I've already taken the nuclear doctrine question, so let's take some other questions. Let us see. Okay, this is a good question. Dakshji says, will the Indian economy have an impact? Will there be an impact on the Indian economy? Do you think Balochistan might get liberated if this war lasts for more than 10 days? Do you think it's the end of the temporary nation? If this war lasts 14 days, it's the end of the temporary nation. Pakistan is less than 2 weeks away from collapse if it doesn't stop what it's doing. And it is in no position to stop what it's doing. So I think we are staring at the end of Pakistan within the next 2 weeks. Will there be an impact on the Indian economy? If the war lasts 3 months, there could be an impact. But if it ends within 2 weeks, it's over. It's completely over. And there won't be any more Pakistan. So yes, Balochistan might get liberated in the next 14 days, maximum. Pakistan may cease to exist in the next 14 days. And once that exists, there is no question of instability in India. So the economy is completely fine. But if the war lasts long and drags on like what happened in Ukraine, there could be an impact on the Indian economy. So Mr. Modi will ensure it doesn't go in that direction. Whatever happens will be over in the next 2 to 14 days. Okay, let's take some more questions. Today I'm going to extend this session. It's already 2 hours, 18 minutes. I'll take it further for today. I'll end at the time I usually end the live stream on regular days. A potato praiser says there's a 2-month night curfew near India-Bangladesh border. On our side, is it? Is Bangladesh cooking something? I am not aware of this. This is news to me. I've not heard of this before. So yeah, in case it's true, then maybe we are taking precautions because Bangladesh is no longer a friendly nation, right? After the regime change that was done recently. So yeah. Tanmay Deshpande says, our navy is very strong compared to 1971. We're the 6th strongest navy in the world, and the Pakistanis are not even in the top 20. If we do attack Karachi port, it will be a one-sided affair, I think. Do you also think that? I think if we attack Karachi port, Karachi will be flattened. So it's up to us whether we do it or not. And we don't have to go to Karachi to do it. That's the thing. We can do it from way far away from Karachi. We can do it from 500 kilometers away from Karachi. And we can completely flatten Karachi if we want. So if we attack Karachi port, if we decide to do it, it will be a completely one-sided affair. Pakistan won't stand a chance. Karachi won't stand a chance. The question is, do we want to do it? If we want to take the enemy out, you can do it without destroying the enemy. Look, our enemy is not the Pakistani people, right? They hate us. We know that, most of them. Not all, most of them hate us. But look, we don't want to attack civilians. As far as possible, if you want to take a country, you take it as intact as possible. So I don't think this is the time to attack Karachi port. And if we do that, then our enemies can paint us as cruel people, as aggressors, and we don't want that. So maybe not a good time to do that to Pakistan, to Karachi. Avinandan Sen says, if you were the Pakistani Prime Minister, what step would you realistically take to bring peace to your people? Would you further escalate or initiate diplomatic discussions with India? If I was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I would beg the military to talk to India and stop the war. Because if I am the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I don't have any power. Please understand this, first of all, my dear viewers. The Pakistani Prime Minister is a powerless entity. The Pakistani Prime Minister does not decide what happens to his country or her country. Only one female. Benazir. So, the Pakistani Prime Minister is a puppet, just like Mohammed Yunus. Their role is to divert attention from where the real power lies. It is to make big noises and be visible, while the real power, the military, does whatever it wants in the background. That's the deal. So if I am the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I have no power. There's nothing I can do. If I was the dictator of Pakistan, if I was Asim Munir, what would I do realistically? I would immediately seize and stop what I am doing. I would beg for forgiveness to the people of Pakistan. I would dismantle the terror factories. If Pakistan wants realistic peace with India, the first thing they have to do is to dismantle the terrorism factories and to bring all the terrorists to justice, to hand over the terrorists that have perpetrated massacres on Indians. Zaki ur Rahman Lakhmi. Um, um, these names are very strange. Dawood Ibrahim. And what other names do we have? Masood Azhar, and so on. These individuals have to be handed over to India. I'm sure I'm missing a few names. But yeah, that's what Pakistan needs to do. Dismantle the terror factory, dismantle the terror network, bring all the terrorists to justice, hand over the wanted terrorists to India, step down from the role of dictator, let there be a genuine democracy in Pakistan. In that case, I have no issue with the existence of Pakistan the way it is. Stop oppressing the people of Balochistan. Let the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa go back to Afghanistan. Give POK back to India. You do these things, then there's no issue between India and Pakistan. Give up terrorism as a state policy, but they can't do it. So that's why they are in the position they are today. Devik Shriyan says, do you think somebody will bail out Pakistan at the end, like it has happened multiple times in the past? Now, that's a good question. The first question we have to ask ourselves is this: which nations are potentially in a position to be able to bail out Pakistan? Which nations have the capability to bail out Pakistan from the position it is in right now? Right now, Pakistan is in a terrible position. Okay, it's India has a chokehold on Pakistan right now. In MMA, you have a chokehold, a rear naked choke. You're done. That's the position Pakistan is in right now. So first of all, the question is, which nations can realistically extricate Pakistan from this position? One nation that immediately comes to mind is the US. They can prevent Pakistan from being destroyed right now if they want to. They can step in. They can force India to stop if they want, the Americans. But what did JD Vance say yesterday, the vice president of the US? He said, this is none of our business, the India-Pakistan war. It's none of our business and we need to stay out of it. He has made it very clear the Americans will not intervene this time. It essentially is a green light to India. Deal with Pakistan, do whatever you want, finish it off. Just ensure the matter doesn't spill beyond the Indian subcontinent. That's it. That is a green light to India. This is the chance we have been waiting for. So America is not going to step in. Who else can step in? Who else exists that is strong enough to step in? China. Now, is China in a position where they can force India to stop from what we are doing? Let's say we are about to dismantle Pakistan into 4 pieces. Are the Chinese in a position to force us? The Americans can force us through economic means by just threatening sanctions if they want. But they don't want to do it, and they're not going to do it. Can the Chinese impose sanctions on India? I don't think so. The only thing the Chinese can threaten India with is military action. Now, is China in a position to start military action with a nation like India? We are not as powerful as China. China is 3.5 times more powerful than us. But China is under siege from the US right now. And the Americans are waiting for China to make a stupid move somewhere. If China starts military action against India, it'll be a huge mistake for them. The Americans are waiting for a mistake from China. And the Americans will have to come to India's side this time because they need India on their side against China. And the Chinese economy may suffer tremendous losses if they engage in a war with India. Because we may not be that powerful, but we can certainly inflict damage. And we have some of the world's deadliest missiles. So doesn't make sense for China to start a war with India just to bail Pakistan out. So then, instead of starting a war with India, can they send supplies to Pakistan so that Pakistan stays afloat? Can they send those supplies in such quantities at this time? Large quantities. Pakistan is running out of ammunition, of arms, ammunition, and all that. They'll have to send tremendous amounts of ammunition. When you are at war with a country like India, if you're Pakistan, you're going to be spending incredible amounts of ammunition, bullets, shells, rockets, drones, all these little things every day. Right? You're going to need tremendous quantities of this. Otherwise, you're done. Can China supply all that to Pakistan? I don't think they can. They can send some, but not a lot. Who else? Turkey. Turkey sent some drones. They wasted 400 to 500 yesterday, the Pakistanis. Pakistan is in a deep bad spot right now. It's difficult for the Chinese, even if they want to bail Pakistan out right now. This is the opportunity that India has been waiting for the past 80 years. So the ball essentially is in Pakistan's court. They need to step back immediately. Otherwise, 2 weeks maximum, and they're done. It's over. Cynical says, you mentioned how absorbing Pakistan occupied Kashmir can change our demographics forever and may affect our national security. How do you think this can play out realistically, or when it can happen? Look, POK can come back in 2 weeks' time maximum. Okay, actually. But the question you're raising is a good question, because I've mentioned this before. The people of POK, they have been essentially part of Pakistan for the past 70, 80 years. And they probably identify as Pakistanis. And religiously, they are of the Pakistani persuasion, aren't they? And they probably all will have a tremendous amount of hatred for India because of various reasons. Now, if you take the territory and you absorb those people into your population, it'll be a culture shock for both sides. It'll be a culture shock for both sides. I'm sure they can adapt, but will that deep-rooted hatred disappear? That's the question. But we obviously have Pakistanis living in India. We've had Pakistanis, tens of thousands of Pakistanis living illegally in India. Pakistani women married to Indian citizens for decades. It worked, right? So if we want it to work that way, it'll work. Otherwise, we'll have to decide what to do and how to deal with the situation, right? We have 100 million Bangladeshis living in India. They all hate us, but they're living among us. Work somehow. In India, everything we make it work. What do we call it? Jugaad. So we may even make this work. POK being absorbed into India, and the people of POK becoming Indian citizens. But it will cause problems for a while. A while as in like 2-3 generations. Okay, I've already discussed the Chinese air defenses a lot. So let's take some other questions. Shrikara Moli Tadinada says, Iran has been offering to mediate during this particular conflict, the India-Pakistan war, fifth war. Is Iran a good actor or a bad actor? Look, Iran is our friend. We should look at Iran as our friend. We have no issues with Iran. The Iranian foreign minister recently said that Pakistan and India are both brotherly countries for us. We are neighbors. We have always been neighbors and so on. So Iran would like to offer its good offices to India and Pakistan and act as a mediator, and and hopefully bring this conflict to an end. And then the Iranian foreign minister came to India. I think he was in India yesterday or maybe today. I'm not sure. So look, uh, Mr. Foreign Minister is very welcome to come to India. We will offer him the best of our hospitality, the warmest welcome. But when it comes to mediating between India and Pakistan, Iran, now is not the time, right? This is going to end the way it ends. We appreciate Iran's friendship and partnership and all that, and we'll work together with Iran. But this attempt to mediate is, you know, I'm sure it comes from a good place, and they want to see peace between India and Pakistan because we are all brotherly nations, which we are. But look, this is the wrong time to do that. Wait for 2 weeks, then try to mediate if there is any Pakistan left. But we appreciate Iran's offer and Iran's friendship for sure. Okay, what do we have? Let us see. Okay, we have discussed the Chinese air defense system ad nauseam. Okay, Red Devil says, you talk of deportation of Bangladeshis who came during 1971 and their children. Does this also include the Bengali Hindus who were basically escaping a genocide? No, it does not include Bengali Hindus who escaped the genocide. They are welcome to stay here forever. I am talking about the Bangladeshis who infiltrated into India after Bangladesh became a separate country, who infiltrated into India illegally by crossing the borders. That's what I am talking about. The Bengali Hindus who fled from Bangladesh, fleeing for their lives in 1971, who settled in India, they are our people. They are welcome to be here forever. The Bangladeshi infiltrators I have an issue with is the ones who infiltrated into India illegally after 71, not during the 71 conflict, 71 war, not them. I have an issue with the illegal infiltrators who came after 71. That's the issue. They are the ones who are illegally here. The Bangladeshi Hindus who came in, we accepted them as refugees and we allowed them to become citizens. That happened legally as a matter of state policy. I have no issue with those people. I have an issue with the illegals who came in later. They are the ones who are dangerous to us. Okay. Mahesh Shrestha says, is it possible to neutralize a nuclear attack? So what does a nuclear attack look like? A nuclear attack is an attack that involves a nuclear weapon. A nuclear weapon is not very large, I assure you. How much plutonium do you need for a nuclear weapon? Look, I'll give you a ballpark figure, 2 to 3 kilos. 2 to 3 kilos of plutonium. And plutonium is a very dense metal. 2 to 3 kilos of plutonium is like this much physically, maybe smaller than that. 2 to 3 kilos. It's so dense that a very small quantity weighs 2-3 kilos. If you're talking about uranium, you may need roughly, very rough ballpark figure, let's say 10 kilos to have a kiloton kind of weapon, 10, 20 kiloton, Hiroshima type weapon. If you have good technology, you can make do with 10, 15 kilos of uranium or maybe 2 to 5 kilos of plutonium. That's the nuclear fissile material. And the warhead itself is not going to be very large. You can essentially have a bomb in a suitcase if it's plutonium. So that's the warhead. That's the deliverable that needs to be sent to the location, the package that needs to be delivered to the location. So you need a delivery mechanism for that, which is typically a missile, or it is dropped as a bomb from an aircraft. Now today, if the Pakistanis want to send an aircraft to drop a bomb on an Indian city, that aircraft will be wiped out long before it reaches an Indian city, because our air defenses are frighteningly good these days. So they have two ways of doing it, either by launching a ballistic missile or a cruise missile or an aircraft launched missile, air launched missile. Three options. Do the Pakistani F-16s have the capability to launch missiles that can deliver nuclear warheads? I'm not sure. Let's assume they do. So we need to have the capacity to take out those rockets before they reach the destination. And if it's a ballistic missile, we need to be able to shoot down ballistic missiles, which probably we can. If it's cruise missiles, that's more difficult because cruise missiles can fly low, just like aircraft, and skim over the surface, in which case you have to be super vigilant. So it's definitely possible to neutralize a nuclear attack. The Pakistanis have been launching missiles and drones the past 48 hours at us. They have tried their best to hit more than 20-25 Indian cities thus far, and they have failed every single time. So we have excellent air defenses. They haven't used ballistic missiles yet. If they launch a ballistic missile, I think before the missile reaches India, Pakistan will be flattened, because ballistic missiles are a red line. So my answer is that it's definitely very possible to neutralize a nuclear attack. See, if there's a ballistic missile incoming, then we have multiple ways of killing it. One is the S-400 system that probably can take out ballistic missiles, especially short and medium range missiles. The other one is the Prithvi air defense system, which has a two-stage system. There's a rocket that takes out the missile outside the atmosphere. It's an exo-atmospheric interception. So it intercepts the incoming missile outside of the atmosphere, more than 100 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. If that interception fails, there's a second rocket that goes up, which takes out the incoming missile about 40 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. That is endo-atmospheric interception. So if one fails, the other one will take it out. And these are very accurate missiles. So if there's a nuclear missile coming in, a missile with a nuclear payload coming in, if you take it out outside of the atmosphere, then even if the warhead falls down, it will probably be destroyed, right, before it reaches the Earth. And it can cause uranium contamination or whatever, but that is not as bad as a nuclear detonation. Even if the warhead is destroyed 40 kilometers or 20 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, it won't result in a nuclear explosion, right? So it's definitely very possible to neutralize a nuclear attack, very much so, especially when you have good air defense systems. And these days, we do have very good air defense systems. Remember in 2019 or whichever year it was, we carried out an anti-satellite test, ASAT test. So we have a kill vehicle, a rocket, a missile, which can take out satellites outside of the Earth's or atmosphere at an altitude of between 200 to 1,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And typically the satellites that travel at about 10 kilometers per second. 10 kilometers per second is faster than a bullet. And we can take a satellite out at that speed, at that height. So that, I assure you, can also take out an incoming ballistic missile. So worry not, my friends, worry not. Geopolitical Dubey says, are we handling the information warfare better this time? I think we are handling it much better than 2019. When we did Balakot, the Pakistani information warfare actually proved to be superior. They claimed that they took out, I don't know how many Indian aircraft, at least two they said. And they have been able to convince the world that we did not shoot down one of their F-16s, right? They have been able to push that narrative and make that narrative win in 2019. And when the surgical strikes happened, they said, what surgical strikes? Nothing happened. There's no evidence. This time we have done things in such a way that they can't deny anything. We did multiple strikes on each terrorist building, headquarters, whatever. And we did not merely strike those things multiple times. We sent drones to film everything. And we've put all the footage out in the public domain. And then after the Pakistanis tried to strike back, the next day, we did daylight strikes all across Pakistan, in which the Pakistanis actually filmed the drones coming down and slamming into Pakistani infrastructure. There were missile strikes at night that were filmed. So it has been very public this time. It is very clear to everybody, including Pakistanis, that India is winning this. And India has hit Pakistan, struck Pakistan at will multiple times, and the Pakistanis haven't been able to hit back. The Pakistanis have claimed that they've taken out 5 Indian fighter planes. Have they shown a single piece of evidence? Do you think you can hide such evidence in today's day and age? Can you? It's very hard. So this time, India has been very well prepared, and we are definitely winning the information warfare. And even in the Western media, we seem to have we seem to have allies this time. Most of the Western media is very anti-India even today. So the best they can do right now is to not cover the matter. They're not covering the India-Pakistan war right now, because India is winning, very, very, very obviously winning what's happening thus far. But there are some channels in which you have certain journalists who are absolutely roasting the Pakistanis. There's this lady called Yalda Hakim, who's of Afghan origin. She works for Sky News or something. I mean, every day the new video clip of her comes out, roasting some Pakistani, taking some Pakistani diplomat or foreign minister or defense minister, whoever it is, to the absolute cleaners. She's doing a great job, that lady. So overall, this time, the Pakistanis aren't winning the information warfare thing. And there are certain US academics. There's this professor of political science, some insignificant fellow who's married to a Pakistani woman, who is trying to take the Pakistani side and make it look like India is not doing well. Not working this time. It's not working. So it's a much improved information warfare performance from India this time around. Much improved, much better, and we are clearly winning the warfare this time. Okay, we have already dealt with wartime blackouts. I already took the question, so let's take some other questions. Sumi says, yes, Yalda Hakim is a gem. She certainly is. She's doing a tremendous job of being an ally of India. Okay. Grateful Black says, India should give Kashmir back to Pakistan for peace. Let me tell you something, Mr. Grateful Black. India should end Pakistan's existence for peace. And that's what's going to happen. It's happening in real time right now. Wait. You must be a Pakistani, and I feel sorry for you. I have nothing against the citizens of Pakistan. They're human beings just like us. They're our relatives. You people are our blood. We're the same people. But blood doesn't matter, because only culture matters. You may be our blood, but you want us dead, right? So you Pakistanis, most of you at least. I feel sorry for you, and the best thing for you is the end of Pakistan, the balkanization of Pakistan, which is about to happen. If Pakistan continues the way it's continuing, it's trying to hit Jammu and whatnot right now, Pakistan will be balkanized in the next 14 days maximum. Then try to get Kashmir. What Kashmir? Okay, we have discussed enough nuclear missiles. Ashish Singh says, what will Pakistan do now, as they're not able to penetrate the Akash air defense system? Yeah, they have failed miserably at trying to penetrate the air defense system that we have, multi-layered air defense system, of which the Akash is the primary component as far as we can understand thus far. And it's been an absolute superstar performance by the Akash air defense system. So the Pakistanis are unable to penetrate. They're unable to hit a single Indian target. They've been trying for the past 48 hours. Hundreds of drones they've launched. Not worked, right? What do they do now? Well, if it doesn't work, what do? You fall back on your tried and trusted weapon of terrorism. So they'll try and launch terror strikes on India. Maybe by trying to push terrorists across the border. It's already been tried last night, and a whole bunch of terrorists were taken out by the BSF last night, who were trying to cross over into the Indian, across the border into the Indian territory. And they could try and activate sleeper cells from inside India, whether it is Rohingyas or Bangladeshis or Pakistanis or cookies or whatever, and they could do terror strikes in India, on Indian cities. That's always a possibility. So India is going to have to be on high alert. These are the options they have. Otherwise, they can try more dangerous options, more dangerous for them. Try cruise missiles or something. If they try such more dangerous weapons, it's going to come back to them like in twice the number and twice the magnitude. So the best thing Pakistan can do at this point in time, if they want to continue to exist as a nation, is to step down immediately. That's the first step. Second, dismantle your terrorist infrastructure, because just stepping down is not going to be enough anymore. Just stepping down is not going to be enough. You have to dismantle your terrorist infrastructure. You have to hand over the wanted terrorists to India, all that. Otherwise, you're done, Pakistan. You're done. Okay, N says, do you think Pakistan will de escalate the issue or try to escalate this in order to get some financial aid from the world? Right now, the question is no longer of financial aid. The question is the question from the military perspective, because it's the military that owns Pakistan. It's Pakistan is a military dictatorship. The prime minister is just for show. It's a puppet, right? From the military perspective, I say this over and over again. It's a question of survival. Survival now. They have sold the Pakistani public this story that we are responsible. We guarantee the existence of Pakistan because our great existential threat to the east is India, and only the Pakistani military stands between India and complete destruction of Pakistan. And the social contract you have in Pakistan is that you allow the military to rule over the country as complete dictators. In exchange for that, the military saves us from India when required. That's the social contract. So the entire legitimacy of the Pakistani military hinges on Pakistan being able, on the military proving itself to be able to defend the country against India and defend itself against India. In the past 50 hours, they have failed miserably at that. They have not been able to prevent India from striking at will, and they have been completely miserably been unable to hit India at all. So the military, if this continues, the people will rise up against the military. That's what happens in police states, in dictatorships. When the legitimacy goes away, the people rise up because they have been oppressed. They have been tolerating the oppression for decades just because of the social contract that the military can oppress us, but at least it will save us from India. And they hate India. That's why they tolerate the military. So now that the military has been shown to be a failure, the Pakistani people in the next few days will rise up against the military. Yesterday, there were all these rallies in Pakistan asking for the release of Imran Khan from prison, right? So you're already seeing this on the streets of Pakistan to some extent. Then Balochistan will rise up. Then Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will rise up, and so on. So the military has no choice but to keep on escalating, but to keep on trying to escalate. Otherwise, their own people will eat them alive. You understand? There's going to be riots. The riots will be directed at the military. So Pakistan is caught in a terrible place. The military of Pakistan is caught in a terrible place. They have no choice but to try and escalate further. If they step back, then they have to step down also. That's the issue, right? And they won't step down. Excuse me. Mayank Patnagar says, once Pakistan breaks up, what's next for India? Internal issues like illegal immigrants and sleeper cells might escalate within the public. How should India tackle that? Once Pakistan breaks up, India is going to have its hands full dealing with Pakistan, dealing with the breakup of Pakistan, with these new countries coming up, Balochistan, Sindhu Desh, and so on, dealing with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's integration with Afghanistan, dealing with what's left of Punjab, dealing with the reintegration of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan. All of that is going to be a huge process, and there's going to be possible problems within India because of the millions of illegal immigrants which we have tolerated for decades. So it's going to be a difficult road forward, but you progress only through difficulties, right? You go towards a better future only by navigating difficulties. And if you want to have a better future in which Pakistan is no longer a threat, then you have to go through this phase. So we will have to go through it. Arnab Malik says people are critically injured in Punjab. Okay, we'll see about that. And if it's true, it's very unfortunate. And the Pakistan will pay the price for that if they have done that. Rigved says, why would Asim Munir, the chief of Pakistan's military, why would he attend the funeral of a known global terrorist? Makes no sense. Because now the fig leaf of plausible deniability is gone. Pakistan has now openly admitted that they are a terrorist nation. Their defense minister went on Sky News, was it with Yalda Hakim? I think he went on Sky News at least twice. At least he gave at least two interviews to Western media, Pakistan defense minister, in which he stated very clearly, very explicitly, that Pakistan has been doing the dirty work for the West for decades, for the US, for the UK, and for the West. Dirty work of terrorism. And he said that if we had not been doing this for the West, then we would have had a spotless record. And nobody would be able to point fingers at us and call us terrorists. He admitted this at least twice in two different interviews. So it's open now. And then even Bilawal Bhutto, the son of Benazir Bhutto, who seems to have some official position in the government, he also said the same thing, that we have served as terrorists. We have served as terrorist mercenaries for the US and for the West. So this happens only when your master has served you the divorce papers. Then you can say bad things about your master, right? So now it's open, it's clear that Pakistan has openly admitted that they have been, yes, a terrorist nation. It's been part of their state policy. Terrorism is a policy of their state. Now that it's in the open, what difference does it make if Asim Munir attends the funeral of terrorists, right? So after the Indian strikes on terrorist infrastructure, apparently more than 100 terrorists died, including the brother of these names. I just don't remember these names, foreign names, right? Not our names. Hafiz Saeed, Azhar, Masood Azhar, one of these fellows, one of the brothers of one of these fellows, the brother of one of these fellows who was involved in the murder of Daniel Pearl. So we, India, brought justice to Daniel Pearl's family decades after he was killed. The Americans didn't bring justice to Daniel Pearl's family. We did it, right? So we killed more than 100 terrorists apparently. And the Pakistani military gave these terrorists a state funeral with full military honors, and high-ranking Pakistani military officials, including apparently Asim Munir, attended this funeral. So now it is open in front of the world that the Pakistani military, the Pakistani ISI, and the Pakistani terrorist infrastructure, they are one and the same. They are the same entity. This is the proof that the world needs to see. It's the end of the story. There's no more proof to be given. It's open. They are no longer hiding it. So now if somebody asks India, what's the evidence Pakistan is a terrorist nation? I mean, what more evidence do these people want, right? Right, okay. Karan Nalawat says, according to you, what should India not do in this war? India should not be hasty. Give yourself 2 weeks. Take it easy. Next 2-3 days, try to make it. Next 2-3 days, tell the world we are trying to de-escalate. We are giving Pakistan the option to step back. We know the Pakistanis cannot step back. We know the Pakistani military has no choice but to keep on trying to hit India. But we should not hit any more targets in Pakistan the next 2-3 days. So the world should be able to see we gave them a chance. Next 3 days we should do this. So the next 3 days, the Indian media will be very unhappy that we are not hitting Pakistan. Then, or before, depending on how Pakistan behaves, then you go for the kill. Because then by the time Pakistan will be running out of ammunition and munitions, and the pressure will be very high on the Pakistani military. But if they hit some Indian city or do something terrible before that, then we can wipe them out with full impunity. So it will depend on their actions. But if things continue as they are right now, it becomes kind of a new normal, then we wait for 3-4 days before taking the next step. And the next step eventually is going to be a pulse pause thing. Whenever it happens, make a sudden quick move into Pakistan, 30, 40, 50 kilometers, and stop. And then it will be a further humiliation for the Pakistan military, and then hopefully the people rise up and throw them out. Otherwise, we can engineer it. So it's gonna be a matter of a couple of weeks if the Pakistani military continues the way it is doing right now. The only thing that can save Pakistan at this point in time is if they step down completely, immediately. That's the only way Pakistan survives the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, it's done. All right. Rush God says, what would Chanakya do in the situation? Just what I just said. That's what he would do. Uh, okay, once again, S400. It's not the S400 that's being used. Anant Chandak says, "Why are my comments not getting posted?" Well, it just got posted. That's why I took it. So it's not like that. uh, okay, some new questions, please. Let's about the situation. Apurva says, should India reintegrate Balochistan and or Sindh into India or make it a proxy? What's the feasibility of a naval blockade? A naval blockade is very feasible. We can do that, especially using submarines, which are way more dangerous than surface vessels. Naval blockade is very feasible if we need to do it. Should we reintegrate Balochistan and or Sindh into India? Not at this time. Not at this time. They are a very radicalized population. And if we hastily reintegrate them into India, then it will cause lots of problems. I think we have to give ourselves a timeline of maybe 50 years for the reintegration of the entire subcontinent once Pakistan breaks up. So there has to be a cooling down phase. It's not like the case of Bangladesh, right? In 71, Bangladesh had been out of India for just 24 years, and there was no radicalization as such in the population of Bangladesh. Today's Bangladeshi population is super radicalized, and that happened after 71, after their independence. So in 71, it made sense for India to reintegrate Bangladesh immediately after just 24 years outside of India. But Balochistan, Sindh have been out of India for almost 80 years. They're culturally very different now. It doesn't make sense for us to reintegrate them immediately into India. We need to, let's say, shepherd them over the next few years or decades. We have to de-radicalize them through reform of the education system and other means. So it doesn't make sense for us to reintegrate them immediately if and when Pakistan breaks up. Recent reports say that a drone fell into a house in Lakhanpur, injuring people. Will that boost India's further action? Okay, that's unfortunate if it's happened, but yeah, if this has happened and if people have been injured and if property has been damaged or destroyed, Pakistan will pay for it. So we have to be patient for a few days, and then the end game starts. If Pakistan doesn't step down. Okay. What else? What's the future of Pakistan? Look, Aditya says, what's the future of POK? Will it? I think POK will be merged into India once Pakistan breaks up pretty soon. I'm pretty sure about that. Not Balochistan, not Sindh, not Punjab, Pakistani Punjab, definitely not Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but POK and Gilgit-Baltistan will be reintegrated. Who has declared a full-blown war? Have they declared the war, Pakistan? Okay, in the past 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm not sure, but probably POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan will be reintegrated. We'll see about that. White House has just said that the president wants it to de-escalate just 5 minutes back. Well, obviously Donald Trump has to say these things, that we want this to de-escalate. We don't want the situation to worsen. He has to say these things. It's all right. It's all right. We also wanted to de-escalate. Please, Pakistan, stand down. Stop this nonsense. Stop lobbing missiles and rockets and drones at our civilians. Stand down immediately. We'll de-escalate. You have to take the step. We aren't the aggressors. Who's lobbing drones and missiles and rockets at whom right now? Who is doing the air defense? Who is doing the offense? The Pakistanis are doing the offense. We are doing air defense. So if somebody has to de-escalate it, it has to start with Pakistan. The problem is Pakistan can't de-escalate. That's the situation they are in. Right? Rahul Shinde says, what's the role of drones in this war and how powerful is India's drone system? The past 2 years I've been saying, look at what happened in Azerbaijan, the Armenia-Azerbaijan war of 2020. Look at what's happening in the Ukraine battlefield. Drones, loitering munitions, suicide drones, kamikaze drones, AI, all of this is part of the 21st century warfare. India should not be left behind. India's military needs to integrate these things into its war fighting scenarios and techniques. And see today what happens, what's happening. We use drones to hit Pakistan, and we have excellent, superb anti-drone, anti-missile, anti-everything systems. So clearly, those of us who sit in sofas and talk about things, we don't know what the Indian armed forces are actually doing. So Kudos to the Indian armed forces. Kudos to the Indian government. We have not been left behind in the 20th century way of doing war. We are fighting a 21st century war here. Outstanding. Outstanding. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. So, yeah, drones have a very big role in this. And I really appreciate what the Indian armed forces are doing and what the government is doing by ensuring the armed forces have the right tools at their disposal to deal with Pakistan and whoever else. Is Pakistan breaking up guaranteed if in case a war happens? Sir, a war is happening right now. We are at a state of war. It may not have been declared officially, but we are in a state of war. And Pakistan, if it doesn't step back right now immediately, if this continues for 2 weeks, its breaking up is guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay. Let's see what else do we have. Aditya Bali says, what's your opinion on the alleged news that Balochistan declared independence? Look, people on social media will say we have declared independence, and we should support that. But there is no entity there is no actual entity called Balochistan. It's just people, right? See, Pakistan is a nation, whether you like it or not, and they have a government. So when Pakistan says something, it means the government said something. But when you say that Balochistan declared something, there is no entity called Balochistan today. The chief minister of Balochistan is a Pakistani stooge, isn't he? Today. So when you hear on social media Balochistan is declaring independence, it means various people who belong to Balochistan, who are Balochi, are declaring their desire for independence. Or maybe the Balochistan Liberation Army, which is a freedom struggle organization, maybe they have declared independence. So that's what it means. And we need to welcome this. We need to encourage them, and we need to, our government, if it's possible, we need to support them in some way. Through whatever way. Through maybe Afghanistan. The Afghans are our friends, right? We have a very good understanding with the Taliban. Maybe through Iran, maybe not through Iran, but definitely Afghanistan can help us out. So, yeah, you see that on social media every day. You see it right now, I'm sure, that somebody from Balochistan is saying that we are independent from Pakistan. So we Indians should support that. And my opinion is that this needs to happen. The actual independence and dissociation of Balochistan from Pakistan needs to happen. Pavan HR Education says, what will happen when Indian army marches towards Islamabad? And on the other hand, Balochistan declares independence and many activities happening. What will happen to nuclear weapons and all that? Look, the way to disintegrate Pakistan is not for India to go to Islamabad. The way to have Pakistan disintegrate is to have this war continue longer so that the Pakistani munitions get depleted. And the Pakistani army is shown to be completely impotent, ineffective to its people. And then the situation becomes ripe for a revolt from within Pakistan of the people who are tired of army oppression. So we have to create those conditions. And we have to encourage those conditions in Pakistan. And Pakistan, its breakup has to happen from within, from inside of Pakistan. Not with us marching to Islamabad. We need to engineer this remotely. That's what needs to happen. And we can obviously take military action in strategic ways to surgically start splitting Pakistan into pieces. And we do it without hurting the civilians as far as possible, obviously. It's going to be very strategic. It has to be done very strategically. We don't march on Islamabad. We don't march on any major city. We do it in such a way that it happens from inside by simply making the military completely ineffective, completely impotent, completely helpless, and in such a position that they can't even withstand their own people's fury. That's what needs to happen. That's how you disintegrate Pakistan. Swapnil says, good to see you, Swapnil. Why was Sindh not split into two parts like Punjab and Bengal? Why so many Sindhi Hindus live when so many Sindhi Hindus live there? God knows. So many Sindhi Hindus were made homeless, right? After 1947, after partition. I think the decisions were these decisions of what lines will be on the map and how they'll be split. These decisions were made by people who had no connection with India, who didn't care about India. Mainly it was Cyril Radcliffe, the British individual who arbitrarily drew lines on the map, very, very arbitrary lines. Why? I mean, if you look at Bangladesh, why is Sylhet part of Bangladesh? It was a Hindu majority region. Why was Chittagong, part of Bangladesh? It should never have been part of Bangladesh, and so on. So many such injustices were done, and they were done by the British, and aided and abetted by our so-called freedom fighters and leaders of that time. That's how it happened. Ursa Minor says, I live in Rome and I have friends from Pakistan. The narrative in their media hasn't recognized most attacks on their country and is extremely defensive. When do you think the true facts will come to light? Yeah, the Pakistanis, I believe, imposed an internet blackout in Pakistan yesterday. That's what I heard yesterday. So their media will spin a certain narrative. Their media obviously is beholden to the ISI military terrorism complex. So they have to keep on pushing the propaganda to their own people that we are winning. They'll do it as long as is possible. So we're going to have to break it by creating facts on the ground. So the Indian government will have to do it. The Indian military will have to do it from far, without putting too much boots too far into the ground. So yes, their media narrative is very different from what's actually happening, right? So the facts will come to light the longer this goes on. Right now, it's just 48 plus, maybe slightly less than 72 hours into the war, right? 1 week into the war, it's going to be a different scenario. If it goes 2 weeks, it's going to be end game for Pakistan. So by that time, the media won't be able to hide what's really happening. So the longer this continues, the harder it will be for their media to lie to their own people. And yeah, that's just how it goes. It's often a war of narratives. All right. Okay. Do we have any other question? Any other interesting questions? Amisha Mishra says, are the Arab countries with us? I assure you the Arab countries are with us. The major Arab countries. Saudi Arabia doesn't want anything to do with Pakistan. Pakistan used to be of use to them in the past. No longer the case. They rather very much would prefer to do business with India. We are on very good terms. It's unbelievable how much things have changed in the past 10, 11 years. With vis-a-vis our relationship with the Gulf countries. We are on excellent terms with Saudi Arabia, with the UAE, with Oman, and so on. Yeah. So the Arab countries are with us. I assure you about that. They are with us. And it's a great thing. Ajay Pilla says, I think Balochistan after liberation will have border issues with Iran, Afghanistan, and Punjab of Pakistan. Yeah, these when new countries emerge out of old countries, these issues happen. So we're gonna have to be the mediator in this and ensure that things are done properly. Not like what happened in 1947 when arbitrary lines were drawn on the map, right? So we're gonna have to ensure that everybody gets justice and nobody feels like they've been robbed of some territory or something. So we're going to have to ensure that happens when it happens. Okay, I've taken, I think, most questions now. Geopolitical Dubey says, will or should India continue to weaponize water or any other means to create panic in Pakistan? Look, if Pakistan disintegrates in the next 2 weeks, as is very possible, then we no longer have to do anything about water, because there's no Pakistan anymore. Then we are dealing with Punjab separately, Balochistan separately, Sindh separately, and we don't want to hurt the people, right? We don't want to hurt the people. This was about punishing the evil military ISI terrorist entity. It's not about hurting the people. We don't want to hurt the people. So if Pakistan disintegrates, end of story. We'll have a new treaty with all these countries. But if so it depends on how things go in the next 2 weeks. All right. Okay, so I'm going to end today's live stream over here, and we're going to do another live stream tomorrow, in which I'll take some more questions from the comments and also some questions from the live chat. So yeah, this was a very long live stream, 3 hours, almost 10 minutes. So thank you so much for the questions. It was really fun, very interactive, and you all asked great questions live in front of us. And yeah, let's continue this tomorrow. All right. I'm sure things will have changed to some extent tomorrow or not. We'll see. All right. Thank you so much. Until then, until tomorrow, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.